Chapter 621. I ate barbecue with Song Huawu yesterday. The barbecue shop staff and the boss can prove it. At this time, Xiaofan also calmed down. This matter was most likely caused by Pang Fengde, but isn't this Song Billion too despicable? He actually helped Pang Fengde to do this kind of thing. In his opinion, someone who could cultivate Song Huawu, who was loyal to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau and was upright and just, should be a broad-minded person. He didn't expect him to be a villain. Now it seemed that this guy was even more sinister than Xia Zhili. At least Xia Zhili wouldn't play dirty. He desperately snatched resources because he had a physical defect. He was disabled for the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. At most, his mentality was a bit extreme. However, Song Billion was simply shameless. He was distorting the truth. Oh. Then let's find them to confirm it. Although Lu Zhanlong felt that if the case was reversed, he might lose face, but his personal face still succumbed to the thoughts of justice. Song Billion's face changed, but he couldn't stop it. He could only hope that the barbecue shop owner would forget about it. After all, there were many customers every day. It was normal to forget. Yes, team leader Yang, what barbecue shop is it? The underling also noticed the change in the situation at this time, and he was respectful to Xiaofan. It's called 123 Barbecue Food Stall, said Xiaofan. Okay. The subordinate accepted the order and left quickly. Brother Xiao, who are these people? Why are they falsely accusing you? Why are there so many liars and bad people in this world? Lan Xinxin was a little tired of it. Can I go now? You can go in a while. Xiaofan nodded to her, indicating that she shouldn't be in a hurry. Okay. I didn't go back last night. My parents should be worried about me. Lan Xinxin was shocked and exclaimed. It's okay. It will be quick. Xiaofan said with a smile. Even if the barbecue shop owner couldn't confirm it, this matter wouldn't have much to do with Xiaofan. Not long after, the barbecue shop owner and the staff were found. Lu Zhanlong glanced at them and asked, "Do you know this person?" As he spoke, he pointed to Xiaofan and reminded, "Look carefully. This is a serious matter." Oh. The boss yawned. He had slept very late last night. They were all food stalls that operated at night, so they did not rest for long before they were woken up. Naturally, he was still a little dazed. His head was a little swollen as he replied blankly, "I don't know him." "Huh." Song Billion laughed proudly. "How is it? Yang Jiannan, do you have anything else to say?" Xiaofan was slightly stunned. He didn't expect the boss to say that. However, looking at the boss's squinting eyes, Xiaofan suspected that the boss didn't look at it at all and said that subconsciously. This made him a little annoyed. He couldn't help but say angrily, "I gave you 1,000 yuan yesterday. Did you forget?" Xiaofan's words didn't wake the boss up. Instead, the shop assistant on the side was startled. He opened his eyes wide and looked up and down at Xiaofan. He shouted, It's him. Boss, it's him. He gave us 100 yuan less yesterday. Kid, hurry up and pay up. Because of you, I was scolded by the boss yesterday." What? When the boss heard that he had money, he suddenly became sober. He looked at Xiaofan and then looked at Song Huawu. He said, "Yes, it's this kid. He took 100 bottles of beer and 200 mutton skewers from me, and he only gave me 1,000 yuan. It's obviously 1,100 yuan. Hurry up and pay up." Xiaofan was stunned. "Your beer is so expensive." "Nonsense, this is a high-end one." The boss rolled his eyes and said, "Yesterday, the lady took this herself. There was a 2 yuan bottle next to her, but she didn't take it. Later, I saw you drinking it, so I served this. I thought you knew." "Well, I'm sorry." As Xiaofan said this, he took out 200 yuan from his pocket and handed it to the boss. He said, "The extra 100 yuan is interest." "Hee, that's not bad." The boss accepted it with a smile. Looking at these people in front of him echoing each other, Lu Zhanlang also understood what was going on. Xiao Chen and Song Huawu did eat there for a night, and because he gave 100 yuan less, this guy remembered it very clearly. Now, he could be sure that there was no problem with Xiao Chen. However, why is there a problem with this video? Although Yang Jiannan can be temporarily eliminated as a suspect, it can't be guaranteed that he ordered his men to do it. So, I think it's still necessary to study the video. Lu Zhanlang said, "This video can't all be broken, right? I saw some of them. They are wireless and use memory cards as a medium. These shouldn't be broken, right?" This. Song Billion was shocked and immediately said, "There's no need. Since the parties don't want to pursue it, we don't need to trouble ourselves. Everyone can disperse. Team leader Lu, this time, it's hard on you." "But you see," these two parties said, "that kind of relationship. Why do we care so much? They might have taken the drug to liven things up. Young people nowadays are very crazy. It's common to do things like SM. Let's not bother about it. Then forget it." Xia Zhili didn't want to cause more trouble. He waved his hand and said, "Everyone can disperse." Since the two deputy bureau chiefs had spoken in unison, Lu Zhanlang couldn't insist. Moreover, he now thought that Xiao Chen was innocent. He didn't want to care about this anymore. Thinking of this, he nodded and said, "I'm sorry, Team Leader Yang. I wronged you before. It's nothing. You were also used as a tool. I don't blame you." Xiao Chen said with a wave of his hand. Lu Zhanlang nodded and left with his people. Song Billion glanced at Song Huawu and shouted, "What are you looking at? Hurry up and go." "Oh." Song Huawu nodded and followed Song Billion. As for Xiao Chen, he looked at Lan Xinxin strangely. "Why are you here? Why are you so careless? Can you blame me for that? I parked the car, and I was caught. This kind of random event with a small probability. Whoever encounters it will be unlucky. There are so many people who are kidnapped. Who would want to be kidnapped?" Lan Xinxin was also a little depressed. "Right, it's fine now. Tell me the truth. Last night, did you find that it didn't work? Was it broken by me?" Xiao Chen was stunned. "Then why didn't you do anything to me? It must be broken, right?" Although Lan Xinxin was a bit careless, she wasn't stupid. If it were someone else, she wouldn't be so concerned, but the crisp, kacha sound on the plane made her a little worried. It was definitely not good. Xiao Chen didn't seek medical treatment in time. How could there not be a problem? Therefore, she had been thinking about this matter. "Brother Xiao, you can't hide your illness for fear of treatment. This isn't shameful. How about I accompany you to the hospital and say that we were too crazy, so it broke. Let's see if it can be cured." Lan Xinxin said with a serious face. Her words, with this expression, made Xiao Chen feel that it was so funny. However, Xiao Chen still said, "Sister, let me go. I'm really fine." "Okay, hurry home. Your parents are still worried about you." Oh, then if you have something, you must contact me." Lan Xinxin remembered that she had to go home quickly. After she finished speaking, she hurried out. Xiao Chen shook his head helplessly and turned to go upstairs. "Brother Yang, this matter must be caused by Pangfenga. We can't just let it go." Xia Shibin said with hatred. Xiao Chen nodded. If Pangfenga was still jumping up and down, Xiao Chen didn't mind finding a chance to kill him. He originally wanted this guy to die on the horse. Xiao Chen didn't believe that this person was so loyal to Song Huawu that he wouldn't look for other women. However, because the Sun family died on the horse, many people knew that it was Xiao Chen who did it. Therefore, in order to avoid exposure, Xiao Chen didn't do it, but it didn't mean that he couldn't think of other deceptive means. Pang Fengda's face was pale as he stood in a room. Sitting in front of him was Song Bilian. At this moment, Song Bilian had already scolded Pang Fengda. "You idiot, can't you use your brain? What did I teach you in the beginning? You have to plan before you act. Impulsiveness is the devil." "Yes." Pang Fengda lowered his head. He was indeed impulsive and blinded by hatred. "However, Instructor Song, you said before that we have to be courageous in doing things. It's right to be courageous, but it's stupid to die for no reason." Song Bilian said, "Your plan seems to be flawless, but in fact, it's full of loopholes. First, you didn't think of the monitoring problem. Second, you didn't investigate this woman's background carefully. You didn't know that she knew Yang Jiannan. Third, you shouldn't have chosen to act when Yang Jiannan was drunk. He really didn't do anything last night." "Yes, I know I was wrong." Pang Fengda lowered his head and said carefully. It's good that you know you're wrong. What are you going to do next?" Song Bilian asked. "I'll keep a low profile first and hide. I'll wait for an opportunity to counterattack. I can't let Yang Jiannan find evidence that I did it before. I won't leave anything behind." Pang Fengda said. "Idiot." Song Bilian said angrily, "You don't know how to take advantage of such a good opportunity. How did I teach you? You're so excellent and smart in other things. How can you be so stupid when it comes to your own matters?" Then Pang Fengda was stunned. "What you should do now is take advantage of the situation," Song Bilian said. "Now, we know that the woman is from the Wang family. Do you still need me to tell you what to do next?" Pang Fengda suddenly slapped his thigh. He suddenly saw the light. "As long as we spread the news that Yang Jiannan slept with that woman last night, the Wang family will naturally come looking for trouble with Yang Jiannan." Chapter 622. "That's right." Song Bilian nodded. "But, if the woman explains it clearly and goes back to check and finds that she wasn't violated, then..." Pang Fengda was still a little worried. "Tianfang Wang family, don't forget the character of the Wang family. You can tell just by looking at the little girl's character. Their family may be genetically inherited, or it may be a coincidence. The current family head is also a person who is a little reckless." Song Bilian smiled and said, "Even if they don't find trouble with Yang Jiannan, for the sake of the Tianfang Wang family's reputation, they must have an explanation. Seeing that the little girl likes Yang Jiannan, they must let Yang Jiannan marry her." Ha 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 ha, wonderful. Pang Fengda was suddenly overjoyed. "Instructor Song is amazing. Otherwise, why would you be my instructor?" In this way, Yang Jiannan married a member of the Tianfang Wang family. According to the rules of our Supernatural Investigation Bureau, important personnel like us can't be too close to a certain family. Then, Yang Jiannan must resign. Even if Xia Zhili interfered, Yang Jiannan could keep his position, but he couldn't go any further. The position of Team B would fall to his friend Wang Chaik, and Song Huawu couldn't deal with the married Yang Jiannan anymore. Even if Song Huawu was willing, the Tianfang Wang family wouldn't be willing. Do you know what to do next?" Song Bilian nodded and said. "I understand, Instructor Song. Don't worry. I will definitely do it properly this time." Pang Fengda nodded and walked out of the room quickly. If the Supernatural Investigation Bureau wanted to convey any news at the family level, it was very fast. In less than 2 hours, every family in Tianfang province spread the news that the granddaughter of the Tianfang Wang family's family head, Wang Tietio, was slept with. Moreover, it was the deputy team leader of Team B of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. This news was very explosive. How would the Wang family and the Supernatural Investigation Bureau react? After Lan Xinxin returned home, she took a shower and rested. Although the family was very curious about her disappearance for a night, if she didn't say anything, they wouldn't ask. Lan Xinxin's position in the Wang family was very strange. That was, Lan Xinxin was born from the lover of Wang Benben, the son of Wang Tietio. Wang Benben's lover was always ill, so Wang Benben naturally didn't pamper her much. All these years, he basically just greeted her and didn't show any other care, let alone staying overnight. According to the rules of the Wang family, this woman was definitely not allowed to enter the family. However, there was an exception. The patriarch, Wang Tietio, was very fond of Lan Xinxin, his granddaughter. He felt that Lan Xinxin had inherited his traits and was a straightforward person. Therefore, Lan Xinxin and her mother were brought into the Wang family. However, Lan Xinxin was very stubborn. She didn't want to follow the Wang family's surname and insisted on following her mother's surname. However, Wang Tietio acquiesced, and the other members of the Wang family couldn't say anything. Wang Tietio naturally heard the news that others had heard. When he heard this rumor, he was about to explode. Huh? Someone actually dared to sleep with Wang Tietio's granddaughter? Do you want to die? When he heard that it was the deputy team leader of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's Team B, Wang Tietio was even more furious. He immediately called his son, Wang Benfen. "Father, you were looking for me?" Wang Benfen wasn't a tiger man. Instead, he was a meticulous person. Therefore, he wasn't liked by Wang Tietio. No matter how Wang Tietio looked at him, he didn't like him at all. If it wasn't for the fact that he had a son who was doing well in Lan City, and Wang Tietio had the intention to make his son the young patriarch, he wouldn't have let Wang Benfen appear in front of him. However, the world was unpredictable. The son he valued, his grandson, had been taken away to cultivate. He also planned to nurture a grandson, so Wang Benfen became the current transitional figure. "You little bastard, do you know that your daughter has been slept with?" Wang Tietio roared. Wang Benfen was stunned. "Xinxin? Nonsense. Hurry up and find her. I want to ask what's going on. This matter can't be let go like this. My Wang family has a reputation in Tianfang province. Isn't this a joke?" Before Wang Tietio could ask what was going on, he started to flip out. "When I catch that little bastard, I'll kill him with a hammer." Wang Benfen nodded quickly and said, "Yes, then I'll go find Xinxin and ask. Hurry up, run forward, hurry up." Wang Tietio roared, "You're really a waste of the name I gave you. You're so slow and not quick at all. I think you should be renamed to Wang Guipeng." "Yes." Wang Benfen didn't dare to say much and quickly ran forward. Lan Xinxin was asked to come. She was somewhat inexplicable. She just came back and planned to rest for a while, but she was called up by her father. In fact, Wang Benfen didn't like Lan Xinxin very much. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given her so little pocket money, but Wang Tietio liked her very much. However, Lan Xinxin was also ambitious. No matter if Wang Tietio wanted money, he would give it. If not, she wouldn't want it. "Xinxin, where did you go last night?" Wang Tietio looked at Lan Xinxin with some worry. He looked her up and down as if he wanted to see some problems. "I didn't go anywhere. It was too late, so I stayed at a friend's place," Lan Xinxin said. "Oh? Is that your boyfriend or girlfriend?" Wang Tietio asked with squinted eyes. "It's girlfriend." Lan Xinxin's heart was beating like a drum. Grandpa asked me what these things are for, but she didn't say anything about Xiaofan. Otherwise, with Grandpa's character, he would definitely look for her. "Girlfriend? Nonsense." Wang Tietio was suddenly furious. "Xinxin, how can you lie to Grandpa? Grandpa has already found out. It's a man, and he's the deputy leader of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's Team B. Am I right? Ah. Lan Xinxin was dumbfounded. She didn't expect Grandpa's information channels to be so well informed. In the blink of an eye, he knew everything. Of course, she didn't know that someone deliberately spread this rumor. Otherwise, no matter how well informed Wang Tietio was, he wouldn't know about this. Now, you actually dare to lie to Grandpa for a man? Wang Tietio widened his eyes and looked at Lan Xinxin, making Lan Xinxin a little worried. However, he changed the topic and said, since you're already sleeping, what are you afraid of? The children of our Wang family have to be responsible for what we do. Now, immediately find that person called Yang Jiannan and discuss your marriage. What? Lan Xinxin was stunned. She didn't expect Grandpa to let her marry Xiao Chang. She thought that they were just good friends now. Grandpa, you don't have to worry about my matters. What are you talking about? How can I not worry about it? Bullshit, how can I not worry about it? Now, the outside world is saying that my, Wang Tietio's, granddaughter was slept with by someone. If I don't quickly settle your matters, wouldn't I be ridiculed? Wang Tietio shouted, all right, run. You immediately run forward and find that Yang Jiannan. Then, discuss your marriage with Xinxin. Dad, isn't this a bit hasty? Our Wang family is also a reputable family. At least, we need to find someone of equal status. Wang Benpei's original intention was to betroth Lan Xinxin to his friend's son, but he didn't expect this to happen. Bullsh *t. Is your head full of *t? Xinxin is a girl. She was slept with by someone. Why do you care so much? Wang Tietio glared and said, her reputation is gone. Why do you still need someone of equal status? Besides, isn't the leader of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's Team B fine too? All right. Wang Benpei didn't dare to refute. He felt that this matter was too strange. His father was too King reckless. He didn't care about the truth at all. Besides, which girl in a big family didn't have a lot of fun before marriage? At that time, they could still find a big family for the sake of family benefits. This was especially so for a powerful family like the Wang family, which also had a backer in the martial arts world, so they were even more sought after. However, he did not dare to disobey. He was really a little depressed. In the past, when second uncle was the master of the family, he was even more powerful than now. Second uncle was a man with brains, so he naturally liked people with brains. He was valued by second uncle and entrusted with important tasks. He was doing very well in Lan City. However, when his father took over as the family head, he became an errand boy instead. He had to deal with trivial matters all day. The only consolation was that his son was valued by his father and was prepared to be the young master. He came all the way to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's hotel. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Song Billion sitting in the hotel lobby drinking coffee. He knew Song Billion, so he immediately rushed over and asked, Deputy Bureau Chief Song, are you resting? Oh. Isn't this Brother Wang? Why did you come to our hotel? Do you want to stay or? Song Billion deliberately sat here and waited for the Wang family to come to him, but he couldn't make it clear first. Deputy Bureau Chief Song, I won't be polite with you. My father gave the order. I have to rush back immediately to report. I heard that the deputy leader of your Supernatural Investigation Bureau's Team B is called Yang Jiannan. My old man is looking for him, said Wang Benpei. Oh. Why is old man Wang looking for him? Can you tell me what's the matter? Song Billion was very happy. His plan seemed to be very successful. In the blink of an eye, the Wang family came to him. It's hard to say. Deputy Bureau Chief Song, can you tell me where Yang Jiannan is? Wang Benpei found it difficult to speak. How can I say this? He didn't believe that Song Billion didn't hear about it, so he was too lazy to explain. This is upstairs. Let me take you to find him. Song Billion was afraid that Xiao Chen would run away. He could also use his identity as the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's deputy bureau chief to deter Xiao Chen so that Xiao Chen wouldn't dare to act rashly. It would be best for him to go back with Wang Benpai. Then, the situation would be set. The two of them went upstairs and came to the door of Xiao Chen's room. Song Billion knocked on the door. Chapter 623. Xiao Chen was taking a nap when someone knocked on the door. He was annoyed. Who is this? Is there no end to it? What? He got out of bed and opened the door, only to see Song Billion and a somewhat familiar man. Yang Jiannan, this is Wang Bengbao from the Wang family. He is here to look for you. Song Billion said, now, follow him back. Oh. Xiao Chen was stunned. Wang family? This person is from the Wang family? Yang Jiannan? I am Lan Xinxin's father. You should know why I am looking for you, right? Alright, come with me. My father is looking for you. Wang Bengbao didn't waste any time. He believed that once he mentioned Lan Xinxin's name, Xiao Chen would follow him. Oh. Xiao Chen was surprised to hear the middle-aged man's words. Lan Xinxin is from the Wang family? Or this man's daughter? Why is her surname Lan? Also, Xiao Chen recognized who this middle-aged man was. When he was in junior high, Xiao Chen often went to his house to play. He often saw this man. He was Wang Bengbao's father, Wang Bengbao. At that time, Xiao Chen was puzzled. Wang Bengbao looked normal. Why was his son drunk? Now, he finally understood. Perhaps Wang Bengbao had no problem, but the Wang family's genes were like this. Otherwise, why would Lan Xinxin be like this? Thinking about Wang Bengbao's behavior, Lan Xinxin's behavior was not surprising. They were really siblings. In the past, many people said that he and Xiao Xiao weren't siblings. He was speechless. However, if someone dared to say that Wang Bengbao and Lan Xinxin weren't siblings, then they must be blind. Oh. May I know why Uncle Wang is looking for me? Xiao Chen thought about the man's identity and was a lot more polite. After all, whether it was from Wang Bengbao or Lan Xinxin's point of view, he had to be respectful. Yes, you will know when you come with me. Seeing how respectful Xiao Chen was, Wang Baobai's mood improved a lot. If it was a rebellious person, he would be very unhappy. After all, in his opinion, the people from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau were very powerful. He had dealt with them a few times, and they were always on equal footing. It was rare to see someone like Xiao Chen who considered himself a junior. Song Billion was also shocked. What was wrong with Yang Jiannan? He didn't seem like such a humble person. Could it be that he had really turned around and started dating Lan Xinxin? He was a little disappointed. He wanted Xiao Chen and Wang Benben to fight. Although Wang Benben was weaker than him, as long as he fought with Xiao Chen, no matter who won or lost, Xiao Chen and the Wang family would become enemies, and then there would be a lot of things to deal with. But now was also fine. If Xiao Chen was willing to marry into the Wang clan, then let him be. As long as he didn't obstruct Song Huawu and Pang Fengda's good things, it was fine. Okay, then Uncle Wang, please lead the way. Xiao Chen nodded. He knew that Wang Benben came to find him because he and Lan Xinxin slept together, but he couldn't not go. He followed Wang Benben all the way down the stairs and got into his Audi A8. This was not a car that martial artists liked to drive. Martial artists generally liked domineering off-road vehicles or sports cars that pursued speed. This kind of stable luxury car was probably only Wang Benben liked it. The Wang family was a big family in Tianfang province. On the edge of the city, there was a super large manor that belonged to the Wang family. It was similar to the Shen family that Xiao Chen had visited before, but the Wang family was bigger. Along the way, Wang Benben drove and didn't talk to Xiao Chen. Naturally, Xiao Chen didn't take the initiative to talk. Instead, he sat on the side and was neither servile nor overbearing. Wang Benben felt that this young man was good. Although it was a pity that Lan Xinxin couldn't marry the son of his friend, Yang Jiannan was also a talented person. He also knew when to advance and when to retreat. If the Wang family trained him, even if he couldn't be promoted to the next level in the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, his power would increase. Thinking of this, Wang Benben was a little relieved. The car drove into the manor and stopped at the door of a villa. He said, "We're here. Get off the car. I will take you to see my father. Don't talk nonsense later. My father has a bad temper." "Yes, thank you, Uncle Wang." Xiao Chen nodded. Wang Benben led the way in front, and Xiao Chen followed behind. The two of them entered the villa one after another. Seeing someone coming in, Wang Tietio ran directly over. When he saw the person behind his son, he suddenly pointed and said, "Boy, you are Yang Jiannan? Are you the one who slept with my granddaughter?" Pooh! Xiao Chen almost choked to death by his own saliva. "Old man Wang, where did you get this from? When did your granddaughter? You still don't admit it?" Xinxin has admitted it. Wang Tietio's eyes stared at Xiao Chen. "You say it. When are you two getting married? Pick a day. My Wang family is also a prestigious family. We must pay attention to extravagance. Old man Wang, this matter. Do you think there is a misunderstanding? Why don't you call Xinxin out and ask her?" Xiao Chen was a little depressed. "Did they ask me to force a marriage? There's no need to ask. That silly girl will definitely speak for you. She doesn't even know that she suffered a loss. In this family, I have the final say. I already represent her." Old man Wang waved his hand and said, "Yang Jiannan, you give me a definite answer now. When are you getting married? Don't think about reneging on the debt. There are not so many good things in this world. It's impossible for you to do that. Old man Wang, listen to me first." Xiao Chen was speechless because of old man Wang's loud voice. He finally found a chance to interrupt. "Shouldn't we take our time to think about this? Lan Xinxin and I are not in the kind of relationship that you think. We are just friends." "Friends? Boyfriend and girlfriend?" Wang Tietio snorted coldly. "Or, are you flirting with her?" "That. We really didn't flirt." Xiao Chen was also a little anxious. "If I did it, then I did it. If I didn't do it, then I didn't do it." Yet, he insisted that I did it and wanted to marry his granddaughter. It was really unreasonable. If it weren't for Wang Fantian and Lan Xinxin, he would have already turned around and left. "Yang Jiannan, it's useless for you to say this. Let me tell you, the news has spread outside. You must settle this matter with the Wang family. Either you marry my granddaughter and everyone is happy, or you commit suicide." Wang Tietio said unreasonably. "This." Xiao Chen slapped his forehead. He suddenly felt a headache. To be honest, Xiao Chen wasn't that kind of rigid person. Since he promised Tian Soran to pretend to be her boyfriend, marrying Lan Xinxin wasn't a big deal. After all, the two of them slept in the same room for a night. Regardless of whether she was framed or not, for the sake of his reputation, Xiao Chen could reluctantly agree. But the key problem was that his current identity was Yang Jiannan. What would happen if he married Lan Xinxin? If Xiao Chen's identity was exposed, wouldn't it implicate Lan Xinxin? Moreover, Xiao Chen couldn't take the initiative to tell the Wang family about his identity. If he told them, with the Wang family's character, they might leak it out and let others know. Therefore, Xiaochen was in a bit of a dilemma. He didn't think that the identity of the Wang family's son-in-law could protect him. Even the identity of the demonic star sect's disciple was useless, let alone the identity of the Wang family's son-in-law. Of course, Xiaochen didn't know the Wang family's power in the martial arts world. But even if he knew, he couldn't be so careless. Yang Jiannan, let me tell you, I'll give you a few days to think about it. You have to settle this for me. It's not that my Xinxin can't get married. She and you are mutually in love. If you take the attitude of playing around, then I can tell you responsibly that the Wang family isn't a pushover. Even Xinxin's brother is also a master. He can kill you with one punch. Wang Tietio threatened, then said, "Okay, run, send him out." "Yes, father." Wang Benben nodded. He didn't say a word. Anyway, Wang Tietio was the only one in charge of the family, and he was just an errand boy. After walking out of the villa, Xiaochen said, "Uncle Wang, I really have nothing to do with Xinxin. Can you talk to old Master Wang? I don't think it's a problem, but if he says it's a problem, then it's a problem." Wang Benben said angrily, "What? You don't like my daughter? I tell you, I don't want to get married yet, but my father has already spoken. I can't do anything about it. If you don't want to die, listen to him." Xiao Chen was a little speechless. It seemed that Wang Benben had no right to speak at all. After being sent out of the door, Wang Benben didn't drive again, which made Xiao Chen very depressed. He could only run back. There wasn't even a taxi here, so he turned into Xiao Chen. After running a few steps, Xiao Chen took out his mobile phone and dialed Wang Benben's number. "Hey, boss? What's the matter?" Wang Benben picked up the phone. "Where did you go a few days ago? Why didn't you come back after you left? Are you still in Songning?" "No, I'm in Tianfang province." "Let me ask you, do you have a sister named Lan Xinxin?" asked Xiao Chen. "Hey. How did you know?" Wang Benben was stunned and suddenly said excitedly, "Did you see her? Isn't she very beautiful? I told you that I would introduce my sister to you, and you wouldn't pursue that Shenjing Xian. You didn't want to do it. Now you know how beautiful my sister is, right?" Xiao Chen thought about it. Wang Benben really said something like this before. "I saw her, but I'm also in trouble." "What? What trouble?" Wang Benben didn't understand. "It's like this." Xiao Chen didn't hide anything from Wang Benben. He started talking about 36B on the plane until he was forced to marry by the Wang family. "If that's the case, then boss, I can't speak for you this time. On the plane, you discussed such a private topic with my sister, and then you slept on the same bed. Then, marry her." Wang Benben changed his usual support for Xiao Chen and suddenly changed his tone. Chapter 624. I'm looking for you to discuss a strategy. Aren't you just causing trouble? Xiao Chen said angrily, "You know my real identity. And me, Menjing, Jingxian, and the others. Aya, what can we do? When the time comes, the Wang family will help you deal with the Shen family and the Cheng family. Just give them some benefits. At most, let their daughter be a co-wife. You can marry them all. Anyway, we martial artists don't care about these things," Wang Fantian said. "Forget it. It's fine. I'm not talking to you anymore." Xiao Chen felt that his call was wasted. Wang Fantian had tried to sell his sister to him before. Now, he came again. He probably knew that with his sister's personality, ordinary people wouldn't be able to handle her. "Oh right, these few days, Su Chuxia and Tian Suruan don't seem to be in good spirits. I saw them a few times, but they were listless. They even asked me where you went, but I don't know." Wang Fantian said, "Oh right, we talked to you on Weixin, but you didn't reply. We didn't dare to call you. And then don't say anything more. Xiaochen sighed. He, Su Chuxia, and Tian Suruan were probably just a fleeting memory in their lives. They would never cross paths again. As time went by, they would get used to it, and everything would be fine. Okay. Wang Fantian said, my sister is really good. Why don't you try marriage first? Then you will know. Xiaochen hung up the phone. Now they were forcing him to marry. Trial marriage? Of course, he had to try. In the Wang family, Wang Tietio asked Wang Benben, who had returned, to look for Lan Xinxin again. Lan Xinxin was a little scared. She looked around but didn't see Xiaochen. Don't look anymore. I asked him to go back. Wang Tietio waved his hand. It seems that you still like him. I'm relieved. Xinxin, you don't have any objections to marrying him, right? Lan Xinxin's face suddenly turned a little red. In fact, she only had a good impression of Xiaochen. She didn't reject him, but to marry him all of a sudden, she really wasn't mentally prepared. But thinking about it, Xiaochen was probably crippled by him. In the future, which girl would follow him? She should be responsible for what she did, so marrying Xiaochen was a good way to make it up to him. In this way, it would be perfectly justifiable for him to examine him. He could also persuade him to go to the hospital with him. There must be a way to cure him. If there was really no other way, he would beg his grandfather to let him go to the martial arts world to think of a solution. The martial arts world was so powerful, there must be a solution. He had heard that there were some powerful dual cultivation methods that could bring spring to the old trees. However, she couldn't say these words now. If she said that Xiaochen was crippled, then her grandfather would definitely not let her marry him. Therefore, Lan Xinxin gently nodded, indicating that she agreed. Then it's decided. Wang Tietio slapped his thigh. Okay, I'll let that kid go back and think about it. If he agrees, it's fine. If he doesn't agree, I'll tie him up. Let's kidnap the bride. Anyway, we're in the right. The martial arts world won't say anything. Xiaochen ran back to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's hotel, feeling a little annoyed. There was a 99% chance that Song Billion was behind this. When he accompanied Wang Benben to look for him, Xiaochen felt that it was a little strange. Now, it seemed that he was the one who spread the news. He's really immoral and keeps creating trouble for me. Even if he doesn't want me to be with Song Huawu, he doesn't need to do this, right? He kidnapped me to the Wang family. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Xia Zhili anxiously pacing around the lobby. When he saw Xiaochen coming back, he immediately greeted, Jiannan, how is it? I heard that old man Song Billion spread the news that you and Lan Xinxin. I got the news that you were taken away by the Wang family. I didn't have time to stop it. Don't mention it. The Wang family is forcing me to get married. Xiaochen waved his hand and took a sip of the free lemonade. Then he said, I didn't agree, but the Wang family still won't let it go. Jiannan, this is a good thing and a bad thing. Xia Zhili sighed. If you become the son-in-law of the Wang family, you can probably keep your position as the deputy team leader of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, but it will be difficult to go further. The promotion of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau is taboo to have relations with these martial arts families. Unless you make outstanding contributions to the Bureau in the future, like last time. But I don't want to get married so early. Xiaochen said gloomily, Deputy Bureau Chief Xia, why don't you assign me a mission and send me out? I'm just going to hide quickly. Out of sight, out of mind. I'll drag it out for a while. When the limelight dies down, the Wang family might just give up. That's also a way. Xia Zhili nodded. Then what kind of mission do you want? I'll look for it for you. I want to go to the Hakanamata desert. I heard that Xiaochen appeared there, so I want. Before Xiaochen could finish his words, Xia Zhili waved his hand and interrupted him. Hakonamata Desert, right? Okay, I'll look for it for you. You're hiding far away. Looking for Xiaochen is secondary. In fact, you want to stay away from the Wang family, right? Xia Zhili smiled and said, not caring about Xiaochen's reason. Yes. Xiaochen smiled a little awkwardly. Okay, you go back to your room and rest first. I'll look for it for you. Xia Zhili was very optimistic about the current Xiaochen. His attitude toward him had also changed, and he began to think of ways to protect him. Previously, Xiaochen felt that Xia Zhili was a very hateful person, but now, he felt that Xia Zhili was a real person. He wasn't as sinister as he thought before. On the other hand, Song Billion was a complete villain. Xiaochen found it hard to understand. How did this person become the instructor of the newbie group and even get promoted? Little did he know that in the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, strength was the most important. After all, people with strength more or less had some shortcomings. This was inevitable. Even the director of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau knew this. If he wanted these martial artists to work for him, he couldn't ask for too much. If he asked for too much, that person would leave. He couldn't do anything about it. After all, he wasn't a strong director. His own strength could only be said to be slightly strong. Okay, Deputy Director Xia, I'll go up first. Xiaochen nodded. Right, why do you keep wearing Xiao Chang's mask? You don't take it off. Xia Zhili suddenly thought of it and asked, don't you feel uncomfortable? No, I think it's okay. Xiaochen smiled and said, it's good to change your face. Don't take it off for a while. Anyway, this is what the Wang family knows now. When the news blows over, I will change back. They won't recognize me then. That's right. Xia Zhili nodded and said nothing more. Xiaochen went upstairs to rest. He only saw Xia Shibin, but he didn't see Song Huawu. Xia Shibin was waiting at his door. When he saw him, he immediately said, Brother Yang, are you okay? I'm fine. Xiaochen waved his hand and opened the door. He said, right, where is Huawu? I didn't see her. She left with Deputy Director Song. Xia Shibin said, damn, this matter was caused by Pangfengda. Brother Yang, we can't just let it go. Definitely not. Xiaochen smiled coldly. This person tipped off the Wang family. Not only him, but also Song Billion. Xiaochen was also annoyed. But now, it's not good to touch them for the time being. Let's wait for a while. Yes, if we touch them now, we will definitely be suspected. Xia Shibin nodded. And they are now strong. We have too much trouble. Xia Shibin, I didn't expect you to be so loyal to me. Xiaochen didn't expect Xia Shibin to be so attentive to him during this time. Xia Shibin stood on his side for everything. It was not like the previous hostile and coercive relationship. Brother Yang, to tell you the truth, you treat me much better than the previous Brother Yang. In the past, I was just a dog, an attendant who ran errands. Now, you never order me around. In the past, you even gave me a share of the credit in Lon City and transferred me to Team B. I am grateful for all these. Xia Shibin said, don't think that I am a smooth person. I had no choice before. I was a newcomer and I offended Deputy Team Leader Xiao Meng. If I didn't rely on Brother Yang, I would have been killed by him. Brother Yang, let me tell you. Don't look at Xiao Meng's appearance. In fact, he's not a good person. Brother Yang made him hover between life and death. That's because he's not capable enough. Of course, he's not your opponent now. Xiaochen nodded. He didn't expect things to be like this. It seemed that the Supernatural Investigation Bureau was full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. None of them were easy to deal with. But thinking about it carefully, these people were transcendental martial artists or martial artists. How could they be willing to be controlled by others? Well, Xiaofan, it's good that you have this attitude. Although I can't treat you like a confidant for the time being, you won't be at a disadvantage if you follow me. Xiaofan said. Okay, thank you, Brother Yang. Xiaofan smiled and said, Brother Yang, then I will go back first. You can go back first. Xiaofan didn't say anything. On this day and the next day, Xiaofan didn't go out of the room. He was very low-key, but the Wang family didn't come to him. They said that they would give him time to consider, so naturally, they wouldn't come to him the next day. In the evening, someone knocked on the door. When Xiaofan opened the door, it was actually Xiaofan. He didn't expect him to come in person. This made Xiaofan feel that this person wasn't so arrogant and aloof. Deputy Bureau Chief Xia, why did you come in person? If there's anything, just let me know. I'll go look for you, Xiaofan quickly said. It doesn't matter. I am not an old man. Don't forget, I am a 10th layer martial artist. This amount of exercise is nothing. Xiaofan waved his hand and said, moreover, I also have something important to tell you. Chapter 625. Oh. Xiaofan was slightly surprised. He immediately closed the door and invited Xiaofan in. He asked him to sit down and was about to pour tea for him. Don't bother. You can sit down first. Xiaofan pointed to the seat beside him, indicating that Xiaofan should not sit down. All right. Xiaofan looked at Xiaofan's expression and knew that he had something important to say. He quickly sat down and asked, Deputy Bureau Chief Xia, you were looking for me, it's like this. Recently, there has been a mission. However, it is not a mission from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. It is a mission from the Warrior Guild headquarters, Xiaofan said. Oh. Can I participate in this mission? Xiaofan was slightly surprised after listening and could not help but ask. Of course you can. The Supernatural Investigation Bureau can also accept the missions from the Warrior Guild headquarters. However, the points obtained are counted as points for the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's public account and cannot be owned by individuals. Therefore, there are contributions to the Bureau. However, usually, not many people are willing to accept the mission because there are no benefits. Xiaofan said. Everyone has to accept the missions that we issue. However, the Warrior Guild's missions can be done at will. In this way, no one is willing to take the initiative to do it. In fact, if the mission is successful, the contribution to the Bureau is greater than other missions. After all, points are also an important way for us to exchange for cultivation resources. So that's how it is. Xiaofan came to a realization and said, in that case, this mission must be related to the Hakonamata Desert? Yes. Xiaofan nodded. Your mission this time is to go to the Hakonamata Desert and explore the ruins of the Bubbly clan's cultivation city. Bubbly clan? Cultivation city ruins? Xiaofan nodded after listening and noted it down. Then, what is this mission for? It's like this. The ruins of the Bubbly clan's cultivation city. Legend has it that they have a lot of spiritual stones there. As for spirit stones, you also know that they are a type of energy that can be used to power a formation. Although they are not as useful as spirit jades, a large number of spirit stones can be as effective as spirit jades. Xiaofan said, I don't know if you have heard, but Wuxia has been collecting a lot of spiritual jades recently. It seems that they want to open some kind of formation, but they don't have enough spiritual jades in their hands, so they have turned their attention to spiritual stones, and spiritual stones are not so easy to find. The ruins of the cultivation city of Paoli clan have been annihilated for many years. Their clan has migrated to an unknown place, so it is very difficult to find them. Everyone's contribution is related to the number of spiritual stones found. Aren't the spirit stones placed together? Xiaofan asked curiously. That was true in the past, but it has been so many years. The Earth's crust has shifted, and there are frequent hurricanes in the desert. The spiritual stones have long been scattered to who knows where, so we need everyone to search for them. Otherwise, there wouldn't be this mission. Xiaofan explained. So that's how it is. Xiaofan understood, but no matter what the mission was, he had to go to the Hakonamata desert, so he accepted it. Okay, I will accept it. When will we leave? Naturally, the sooner the better. I heard that the ruins exploration is about to start, don't be late. Xiaofan said. Okay, then I will leave immediately. Xiaofan made a decision. He also wanted to leave as soon as possible and go to the desert, and he was also concerned about the news of his father. Well, but, there is one more thing. Xiaofan hesitated for a moment and looked at Xiaofan. Oh. Deputy Director Xia, if there is anything else, please let me know. If I can do it, I will definitely help. When Xiaofan saw Xiaofan's expression, he knew that he had something to ask of him. It was probably similar to the last time. It was a private matter, and it should be a very important private matter. Otherwise, he wouldn't have such an expression. It's like this. You also know that I have been stuck at the 10th level of the Martial Master realm for many years. I want to advance further, but I don't have suitable cultivation resources, so my progress has been slow. Xiaofan sighed and said, you can be considered one of my people, so I won't hide anything from you. Although I am disabled, I wholeheartedly pursue martial arts. I want to advance to the next level. Now that I have stepped into the peak of the 10th level of the Martial Master realm, I am only one step away from the Martial General realm. I want to break through, but the current resources of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau are not enough for me to do so. Xiaofan was shocked. He didn't expect that above the Martial Master realm was the Martial General realm, and Xiaofan had already begun to break through. This was not easy, but what was the use of saying this to him? It's like this, Jiannan, didn't you see the ruins of the Paoli clan? I actually heard of a legend before. Xiaofan hesitated for a moment, but still said, you have heard about this matter. Whether you have it or not, it is best not to spread it, understand? I understand, Deputy Bureau Chief Xia, please speak. Xiaofan said solemnly. It's like this. I heard that the Paoli clan is not human, but another race. They might be a spirit beast clan, or they might be extraterrestrial visitors. Xiaofan said, in short, there is no way to verify it. It has been thousands of years, and they have long moved away. However, I know of a legend. When the Paoli clan settled in the Hakonamata desert, they brought with them something called the extraterrestrial ink meteorite. This thing can help me break through the Martial Master realm and become a Martial General. Of course, this is only a legend. Whether it can be found or not is another matter. When you go, if possible, help me look for it. Oh. Xiaofan was a little surprised, there is such a thing. However, what does it look like? Deputy Bureau Chief Xia, you told me the name, but I don't know what it is. Naturally, I heard that not only can it help martial cultivators break through the Martial General realm, but it can also help them become the strongest Martial General, so it is quite precious. As for what it looks like, I am not too sure. I heard that it is a black meteorite. Xiaofan said. Okay, I will pay attention. If there is, I will help you bring it back. Xiaofan nodded and agreed. So you accepted this mission? Then I will sign you up in a while. Xiaofan said, however, you should also think about it. All the points you get in the mission have nothing to do with you personally. The Supernatural Investigation Bureau can only help you count it as a credit, but they will not give you any points. I know, it doesn't matter. Xiaofan said. And, also, because this kind of mission is quite special, the Supernatural Investigation Bureau will not provide you with travel expenses and material support. You will have to rely on yourself. Xia Zhili said, but I can personally pay for your travel expenses. Then there is no need. Xiaochen smiled. Xia Zhili would probably only give him a few thousand yuan for the plane ticket, which Xiaochen had himself. And, then I will wait for your good news. After saying that, Xia Zhili stood up and left to help Xiaochen sign up. What is the extraterrestrial ink meteorite? What Xiaochen was interested in was this. Could it be that his father had also gone to look for this thing in the past? Xiaochen knew that as long as it was something helpful to cultivation, Xiaofan would search for it at all costs. Needless to say, this was very possible. Not long after, Xia Zhili returned. The moment he opened the door, he happily said to Xiaochen, "Okay, Jiannan, it's done. You can head directly to the border town of Hakanamata Desert, Yu Town. There is a warrior guild branch there. Go there and register, then you can head to the desert for an adventure." Okay. Xiaochen noted it down, then I will go and book the plane ticket now. No need, I have already booked it for you. Originally, you have to pay for the travel expenses yourself, but I have settled it for you. Xia Zhili smiled, you can just go to the airport. Xiaochen nodded and told Song Huawu and Xia Shibin about it. Song Huawu replied, be careful, I support you. As for Xia Shibin, he wanted to go with Xiaochen. However, Xiaochen rejected him. This trip might be quite difficult, and Xiaochen had his own plans. Xia Shibin wanted to go with Xiaochen. For a good thing like the extraterrestrial ink meteorite, if he found it, he could naturally go first. As for Xia Zhili, if there was an extra one, Xiaochen would find one for him. If there wasn't, then he could only apologize. But if Xia Zhili went, it was hard to say. For this kind of thing, the fewer people who knew, the better. Although he had expressed his position, in the face of great benefits, it was hard to say whether he could stick to his original heart. After packing up, Xiaochen went to the airport. He didn't want to stay in Tianfang province anymore. The Wang family might come to find him at any time. He had to hurry and take refuge. After a few flights and a few long-distance buses, Xiaochen arrived at the border town of Wuxia town in the Hakanamata Desert. However, this was no longer the territory of the Great Xia Kingdom. This should be the territory of the martial arts circle. Many people here retained the custom of ancient clothes, but there were some modern people. Xiaochen followed the road map that Xia Zhili gave him and didn't stop. He went all the way to Wuxia town's warrior guild. Hello, I am here to sign up for a mission. Xiaochen found a staff member and said to him. There were very few people here. There were no people coming and going like the other city's warrior guild. There were only a few people. There were a few unknown martial artists and 2 or 3 staff members. It was a desolate scene. Mission? How can there be a mission here? Where are you from? The staff member looked at Xiaochen impatiently. I am here to participate in the Spirit Stone exploration mission of the Bubbly Clan Cultivation City ruins in Hakanamata Desert. Xiaochen was stunned and asked curiously. Chapter 626. Oh. The staff member was stunned and looked at Xiaochen strangely. You're a martial master? Why don't you go directly to the martial arts guild at the entrance of the Hakanamata Desert? What are you doing here? We don't do martial master level missions here. I'm from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. My mission should be from here. Xiaochen explained. Oh, you're from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Why didn't you say so earlier? After this person heard it, he said somewhat impatiently, all right, I'll give you a transfer request. You can go directly to the Wulin Martial Guild to complete the procedures. The Martial Master level missions are all issued by the Wulin Martial Guild. We are the secular world's martial guild. Alright, thank you. Xiaochen roughly understood. The martial arts guild was divided into the secular martial arts guild and the martial arts guild. Usually, the martial arts guild referred to was in the secular world. Only in the martial arts world would there be a martial arts guild. This mission is issued by the secular martial arts guild headquarters. We won't issue it here. If you come to me, we'll transfer it for you. The staff member finished the procedures and passed the transfer form to Xiaochen. Although the staff member's attitude wasn't very good, Xiaochen didn't say anything. There probably weren't many people here all year round. Furthermore, it was close to the martial arts world. The martial arts guild in the secular world didn't have much effect at all. It was normal for the staff here to be in a bad mood. Xiaochen got the transfer form and went to the Hakonamata Desert Martial Arts Guild according to the map at the back. However, it was barren land in front of him. There weren't any long-distance buses. If he walked there, it would indeed be a little strenuous. Xiaochen had no choice but to turn back and ask, "Excuse me, is there a car delivery service here?" "No, there's a car rental. It's 10,000 a day." The staff member said impatiently. "Then give me one." Xiaochen was a little speechless. What kind of price was that? It couldn't be a Rolls-Royce, right? A deposit of 1 million. The staff member said. Okay. Xiaochen could only agree. After swiping the card, the staff brought Xiaochen to pick up the car. When Xiaochen saw the car, he was even more speechless. This was a 2020 Jeep that could only be seen in driving schools. This kind of car actually cost 10,000 yuan a day and a deposit of 1 million yuan. The rarer something is, the more expensive it is. However, Xiaochen did not dwell on this. He just drove away. If he had to run around in the desert for a few days, Xiaochen would go crazy. Along the way, Xiaochen followed the directions of the map and the car's navigation system. He came to the front of a building. This building was a bit like an old castle, but when he got closer, he could see a few big words written on the top of the building: Hakuna Mata Desert Warrior Guild / Hakuna Mata Desert Teleportation Array in Trance. Xiaochen parked the car in front of the building and got out. This place was not as deserted as the U-Town Warrior Guild. There were many cars parked here, but Xiaochen's car was the most broken. These people obviously came directly from nearby. They were not like Xiaochen, who came back for the first time and rented a car from U-Town. However, no one paid attention to Xiaochen's car. At this level of martial cultivation, they were all martial masters. They would not compete with each other so superficially to show off their wealth. In their eyes, the car was just a tool. Even if it was a bicycle, it was good if it was fast. They competed in strength and other aspects. Even if they laughed at others, they would not laugh at others' cars. In fact, no one even looked at Xiaochen. When Xiaochen walked in, he saw a scene as lively as the Lan City and Songning Warrior Guild. On the big screen, there were all kinds of missions. It seemed that there were not only Hakuna Mata Desert exploration missions, but also some other missions. Xiaochen did not need to go near. From afar, he could see that there were all kinds of missions, but most of them were related to the desert and its surroundings. There were missions about the Paoli clan, Blazing Mountain, a river in the desert called Green Blood River, and Wainer Valley. There were missions about gathering herbs, hunting spirit beasts, looking for treasures, and so on. Xiaochen was basically not interested in them. He took the transfer book and went straight to the staff here. The staff here was obviously more enthusiastic, comparable to the ones in Lan City and Songning. "Hello, sir. How can I help you?" the staff asked politely. "I transferred here from the U Family Town's Warriors Guild. I'm here to do the mission of searching for spirit stones in the ruins of the Baoli clan's cultivation city in the Hakonamata Desert," Xiaochen explained as he handed over the transfer book. "Oh. So it's a young hero from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Please come with me. The staff looked at it and nodded. He brought Xiaochen to an office next door and said, "The mission points are relatively high, but the spirit stones are also valuable. Please pay a deposit of 100 million. If you collect more than 10 spirit stones, you can return the deposit without changing it. If there is one less, 10 million will be deducted. Is that acceptable?" "Oh. I still need to pay such a high deposit?" Xiaochen was stunned. He was a little shocked. Although he had some money, he didn't have 100 million. Moreover, 10 spirit stones. To put it bluntly, it would be good if he could find even one. Yes. In order to prevent people from not handing in the spirit stones they find and keeping them for themselves, this rule was made. Of course, this is a mutual agreement. You can also disagree and you don't need to do this mission, the staff explained. Xiaochen was a little speechless. The mission points were indeed very high, but at the same time, if he couldn't complete it, he might lose a lot of money. Could it be that these martial artists are all so rich? Wait a minute. I'll make a call. Xiaochen had no choice but to walk out of the warrior guild and call Xiaojili. "Jiannan, how is it? Have you arrived?" Xiaojili said on the other side of the phone. "I've arrived, but I've encountered some trouble." Xiaochen said and told Xiaojili about the deposit. "Oh? There's actually a deposit of 100 million? Xiaojili was also very surprised after listening. "Jiannan, I can't come up with this money in a short time. It's impossible for the Supernatural Investigation Bureau to come up with it because you can't guarantee that you will find the spirit stones. If you can't find it and lose the money, it will be very disadvantageous for you and me. Song Billion may take this opportunity to get mad and drive us out." "I understand. I'll think of a way myself." When Xiaochen heard Xiaojili's tone, he knew that there was no way. The Supernatural Investigation Bureau would not come up with this money. "I personally have 30 million savings. I can let you use it first," Xiaojili said. "As for the rest, there's no other way." "Okay, if I need anything, I'll call you again." Xiaochen was stunned. He didn't expect Xiaojili to be so generous. He actually took out his own money. However, Xiaojili only saved 30 million, which surprised Xiaochen. He thought that this old man was rich. One had to know that the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's bonus was very high, especially for people like him who were injured before. The compensation they received was also very high. However, thinking about it, most of the money was probably used to buy medicinal herbs for cultivation. Xiaochen thought about it. Who do I have to ask for money from? Little Hongzhu was rich, but he couldn't contact her at the moment. After thinking for a long time, Xiaochen directly called Cheng Zhongfan. After thinking about it, he could only blackmail him. Although the Xiao family could take out the money now, it was Xiaochen's own money. He couldn't bear to part with it. However, this Cheng Zhongfan was quite rich. "Who is it?" Cheng Zhongfan picked up the phone. When he saw this unfamiliar number, he was a little inexplicable. "Mr. Cheng Zhongfan, hello. I'm Hero White Fox," Xiaochen said with a smile. "What?" Cheng Zhongfan was stunned. "Xiaochen. Why are you calling me?" "Oh, I haven't burned your house recently, so my hands are a little itchy. I wonder how Cheng Mengxiang is doing. Has he recovered? Do you still want to taste the taste of barbecue?" Xiaochen asked with a smile. "Xiaochen, what do you mean? If you have something to say, just say it. Don't say those useless things. Are you trying to scare me?" Cheng Zhongfan was furious. "Last time, you told the Supernatural Investigation Bureau that I was in Songning, right? Are you planning to catch me? Don't say no." Only your family knows my whereabouts, Xiaochen said coldly. It really wasn't that time. It was Chao Yuliang who kept it a secret. Cheng Zhongfan explained patiently. He had to explain. Xiaochen was too ruthless and would burn people at the slightest provocation. He didn't have any good countermeasures. He wasn't Taoist Lu Li, who could get some fire-resistant clothes with a raise. When facing Xiaochen, he could only be burned. He was too weak to extinguish the fire. Oh? Isn't Chao Yuliang your son's subordinate? Do you think I don't know? Xiaochen asked. This. Cheng Zhongfan felt wronged in his heart. It was true that he was Chao Yuliang's subordinate, but it wasn't Cheng Mengxiang who asked him to report. However, even if he said this, Xiaochen probably wouldn't believe it. He had to say, well, we were wrong, but you are fine now, aren't you? I'm fine, but I'm in urgent need of money now. Give me some. Xiaochen said his purpose. Give me money. How much? Cheng Zhongfan knew that Xiaochen had something to do. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said so much before. After the threat was over, the real business came. However, it was also a good choice to spend money to avoid disaster. After all, he couldn't compete with Xiaochen. If Xiaochen wanted to secretly mess with him, he couldn't guard against it. 100 million yuan. I'll give you an account. You transfer it to me. Xiaochen didn't wait for Cheng Zhongfan to bargain and said directly, okay, I'm waiting. If I don't get the money in half an hour, I will burn your house. You know me. After that, he hung up the phone. F***CK. Cheng Zhongfan was furious and almost threw the phone. 100 million yuan. Do you think the Cheng family is a bank? Can you take it out just like that? I can really take it out, but that's my private money. Chapter 627. But to be honest, he didn't dare to tell this to his father, Cheng Tianxiu. If he told him, then his identity and plan would be exposed. Cheng Zhongfan was so angry that he ran directly to Cheng Mengxiang's room and roared, "It's all your fault. I knew that Xiaochen wouldn't let us go so easily. That kid has endured for many years. How can he be easily dismissed with this kind of temperament?" Sure enough, something happened, right? Dad, what's wrong? Xiaochen is here again. Is he going to burn our house? Cheng Mengxiang had been traumatized by Xiaochen. His injuries hadn't healed yet. He was so scared that he jumped up from the bed. He hasn't come yet, but he asked me for 100 million. If I don't give it to him, he said he's coming. Cheng Zhongfan glanced at his son and was very disdainful of his cowardly behavior. However, wasn't he the same when he thought about it? He was angry in his heart. This little bastard, if we were in the sect, I would have killed him long ago. In the secular world, he still dares to shit on my head. What should we do? Do we give it to him? Cheng Mengxiang was a little worried. He still remembered the pain of being burned. I don't want to give it, but can we not give it? Cheng Zhongfan's voice changed. That guy is hiding in the dark now. He's a madman. He doesn't play by the rules at all. How about we threaten him with the Xiao family? Cheng Mengxiang rolled his eyes and suggested. Your suggestion can't be implemented at all. If we touch the Xiao family, he will definitely come back to destroy our Cheng family. At worst, we will die together. But we are porcelain. We can't touch him. Cheng Zhongfan shook his head. Our Cheng family has been working hard for many years to become a true martial arts family. I will eventually return to the sect. The Cheng family still has to operate here, unless you all give up and come with me. This. Cheng Mengxiang was a little hesitant. He really couldn't bear to leave the Cheng family. He heard that the sect was full of ascetics. There was no glory, splendor, and wealth. He was greedy for the secular world. Alright, I'm just complaining. Just pass it on to him. Xiaofan took a deep breath and waved his hand. I'm going to transfer the money. You don't need to think about it. Yes. Mengxiang heaved a sigh of relief. Spending money to avoid disaster was much better than provoking that lunatic Xiao Chen. Looking at the notification that his account had been transferred, Xiao Chen's lips curled into a smile. Then, he turned around and returned to the martial artist attack. Using an anonymous method, he transferred the money to the Martial Artist Guild's account. Alright, since the deposit has been paid, you can head to the Hakuna Mata Desert now. This is your calling token. Remember, whenever you crush the token, you'll be teleported back to the entrance of the teleportation circle. Also, this is the map of the Paoli clan's cultivation city. You can follow the map when the time comes. When the staff saw that Xiao Chen had transferred the money, his attitude became better. He enthusiastically said, but remember, don't stay in the desert for too long. Although we didn't set a limit for how long you can stay, I still have to remind you of some things in advance. Please speak. Xiao Chen said with a solemn expression. The desert is a place where it is easy to get lost. The same environment, the same scenery, the sudden appearance of mirages, and the endless heat will make people lose their minds. If you really get lost, then you will be lost forever. It will be very difficult to wake up. The staff looked at Xiao Chen and said, many people covet points. They keep searching in the desert and eventually get lost. There are many people like this. I hope you don't lose your heart. Thank you, I understand. Xiao Chen nodded and noted it down. However, he was wondering if his father would get lost. But it shouldn't be. His entire team disappeared, not just one person. If one person got lost, then the others should still be there. How could all of them get lost? Xiao Chen shook his head and kept the jade token. Under the guidance of the staff, he arrived at the back of the warrior guild. At the back of the warrior guild, there was a place that looked like a shrine. However, upon closer inspection, it looked more like a strange mechanism. In the middle of the main hall, there was a high platform. Under the staff's direction, Xiao Chen went up the platform. Alright, stand still and don't move. The transmission array is about to be activated. The staff shouted and activated some unknown mechanism. Xiao Chen only saw a white light flash before his eyes. In the blink of an eye, he felt a burst of heat under his feet and a hot wind blew on his face. When he opened his eyes, he saw a barren desert with no end in sight. Xiao Chen knew that he was already inside the Hakunamata desert. If it weren't for Xia Zhili saying that there might be extraterrestrial ink meteorites here, Xiao Chen wouldn't have come here. 100 million, what could he not do with this money? Moreover, his purpose here was to go to the Flame Mountain, not to the Bubbly clan. Fortunately, the desert was connected. He was only transmitted to the vicinity of the Bubbly clan's cultivation city ruins. As long as he didn't leave the desert, he should be able to reach the Flame Mountain. He didn't intend to go out immediately. Only God knows how much deposit was needed to go to the ancient ruins of the Flame Mountain. He would look for it himself. Of course, Xiao Chen didn't intend to wander around randomly. He didn't know whether this transmission array was a random transmission or a directional transmission. However, no matter what, he had to figure out his position. Xiao Chen took out the GPS and the map given to him by the staff and started comparing them. After looking for a long time, he discovered that his position was on the west side of the Bubbly clan's cultivation city ruins. Putting down the map, Xiao Chen looked around. How come there wasn't a single person here? It stood to reason that there should be a lot of people who would accept such a high reward mission, right? However, although there were some doubts in his heart, Xiao Chen still moved forward towards the destination indicated on the map. Looking at the desert under his feet and all around him, there was no end in sight. Xiao Chen suddenly felt a bit depressed. Looking for spirit stones in this kind of place, wasn't it more difficult than ascending to the heavens? Now he finally figured it out. No wonder the warrior guild had collected 100 million as a deposit in advance. It seemed that they had already planned to scam him. Only a fool like him would spend so much money. Moreover, he had seen a lot of desert-related missions on the big screen. He guessed that only this kind of unaccepted mission would be posted to the warrior guild headquarters in the secular world. Then, Xiaofan saw it and asked him to come over. Shaking his head, although that 100 million was not his own money, Xiaofan still felt very distressed. He had been cheated. If he had known this would happen, he would have just applied for another mission and come over. However, not long after, Xiaofan quickly became excited, because he saw a shiny thing in the desert not far away. Although he did not know what it was, Xiaofan quickened his pace and walked over. Just as he squatted down, he was stopped by the voice of the Elder Heaven Ancestor. "Don't move," said the Elder Heaven Ancestor. Xiaofan was taken aback. "Elder Heaven Ancestor, what's wrong? Is there anything wrong with it?" "What's wrong with it?" Elder Heaven Ancestor coldly snorted and said, "If I didn't say it, I'm afraid you would already be dead." "Dead?" Xiaofan exclaimed in disbelief, his entire body shocked. "Do you know what it is?" Elder Heaven Ancestor asked. "This. It seems to be a spirit stone." Although Xiaofan had never seen a spirit stone before, this thing had a white luster and shined under the sunlight. Moreover, as he got closer, he could feel the faint fluctuation of spiritual energy. If this wasn't a spirit stone, then what was it? Xiaofan did not think that he would be so lucky to see a spirit stone as soon as he came in. "You really don't know anything. You didn't do any homework before coming here," Elder Heaven Ancestor said coldly. "You watch from the side for a while, don't touch it. I won't say anything for now. Consider it a lesson for you, don't mess around in the future." "Ah." Xiaofan was a little confused, but he still followed the instructions of the Elder Heaven Ancestor and did not touch the spirit stone. Instead, he stood to the side and carefully looked at the spirit stone. However, there was nothing special about this spirit stone. It looked very attractive. However, just when Xiaofan was bored to death, the spirit stone actually moved. Xiaofan saw a row of legs and a long tail suddenly grow out of the spirit stone. Then, with a whooshing sound, it crawled forward. What is this thing? This spirit stone can run? Xiaofan's eyes widened as he looked at this shocking scene. Now you know how powerful it is. Elder Heaven Ancestor's proud voice sounded. This is called the desert parasitic scorpion. It is highly toxic and relies on its bright appearance to confuse other creatures in the desert. Then, it will deal a fatal blow. If you get stung by it and get poisoned, I think you will die soon. Xiaofan looked at the crawling little thing with lingering fear. His heart was aghast, but when he saw the spirit stone, he was not willing to give up. Elder Heaven Ancestor, this thing, other martial cultivators naturally have no way of dealing with it. The desert parasitic scorpion lives in the hot desert and has the protection of the spirit stone. Its shell is hard and its life is hard. Most people have no way of dealing with it. Therefore, most people would not be fooled into touching this spirit stone, because it is simply a joke. After finishing, the Elder Heaven Ancestor changed the topic, but the Samadhi true fire is enough to burn this little thing to death. Elder Heaven Ancestor, you scared me to death. Xiaofan threw out the Samadhi true fire. In an instant, the desert parasitic scorpion was surrounded by the Samadhi true fire. After struggling for a bit, it turned into a wisp of green smoke. The stone also stopped moving. Other than a little black on the surface, it was completely unharmed. Xiaofan walked over and picked up the spirit stone. After wiping it clean, it was as good as new. Chapter 628. After discovering this benefit, as Xiaochen moved forward, he actually found a lot of desert hermit scorpions like this. They were all carrying a spirit stone on their backs as camouflage. This made Xiaochen very happy. He threw out the true samadhi fire again and again, turning those desert hermit scorpions into green smoke. The spirit stones were also collected by Xiaochen. In the blink of an eye, the 10 spirit stones task was easily completed. Being a cultivator is still the best. Xiaochen sighed. If he was a martial master, he would also be helpless. Even a devil master who could use fire-type martial skills would probably be helpless against this kind of thing. This was because, under Xiaochen's strongest true samadhi fire, the desert hermit scorpions would still struggle a few times before turning into ashes. After tasting the benefits, Xiaochen also began to feel happy. Along the way, not only did he complete the task, he also obtained a full 15 spirit stones. However, after obtaining these 15 spirit stones, Xiaochen did not gain anything else. He estimated that all the desert hermit scorpions in the vicinity had been burned by him. There were only 20 or so of them in the vicinity. Even if there were, he estimated that they would have to go far away to other places. Thinking of this, Xiaochen was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he sat cross-legged in the desert. He was ready to use the extra 15 spirit stones to cultivate. Although the effect of these things was not as good as the spirit jades, their function should be similar. Otherwise, those people in the martial arts world would not be able to collect spirit jades and spirit stones. Xiaochen did not want to carry a large pile of stones forward. It was naturally good to be able to use some. He was now a chi refinement stage cultivator. He did not know whether the outer inky meteorite would be useful for him to break through to the foundation building stage, but these spirit stones were definitely useful. Taking out a spirit stone and holding it in his hand, Xiaochen began to circulate the Heart Sutra. Rich spiritual qi poured into Xiaochen's body and turned into primordial qi. However, the speed was not as fast as the spirit jades. It could only be regarded as a barely sufficient supply, but there was no surplus. After an unknown amount of time, Xiaochen did not feel anything, but the spirit stone in his hand shattered with a kacha sound. So fast? Xiaochen looked at the broken pieces in his hand and shook his head. This thing was used up too quickly. It wasn't even 1/10 of the effect of the spiritual jade. However, Xiaochen didn't care and casually threw it to the side. In any case, this thing was free. He took out another spirit stone and continued cultivating. Time passed by in a flash. Xiaochen didn't know how much time had passed. When he reached into his bag, he discovered that it was empty. It turned out that even the 10 spirit stones left behind for the mission had been taken away by Xiaochen. The consumption of these things was really huge. Unknowingly, they were all used up. This made Xiaochen a little depressed. So many spiritual stones, but it still wasn't enough for him to advance to the peak of the 10th level of Qi refinement realm. With a sigh, Xiaochen stood up and found that it was already the morning of the next day. He cultivated overnight and wasted 25 spiritual stones. If it was converted into the equivalent of credit points, it would be worth 250 million. However, Xiaochen didn't regret it. He would rather not have that 100 million. It was worth it for him to cultivate. He quickly moved forward. Just as he guessed, there were no more desert hermit scorpions in this area. Therefore, Xiaochen quickened his pace and continued to move forward. Finally, he saw the vague shadow of an ancient castle in front of him. According to the map, this should be the ruins of the Paoli clan's cultivation city. Next, Xiaochen didn't disappoint. He once again saw the desert hermit scorpions camouflaged under the spiritual stones. There were a lot of desert hermit scorpions here. Xiaochen was very happy. He began to burn them like crazy. Then he collected all the spiritual stones. After circling around the castle, Xiaochen collected 54 spiritual stones. This made him very happy. It seems like these spiritual stones must have been under the desert before. After they were discovered by the desert hermit scorpions, they came out to deceive people. If Xiaochen were to search aimlessly in the desert, he would definitely die of exhaustion. It was no wonder that no one accepted this quest. This was a scam. Xiaochen didn't believe that there would be any spiritual stones in the ruins of the Paoli clan's cultivation city. He reckoned that the spiritual stones on the surface had already been found. Therefore, it wouldn't be Xiaochen's turn to study the desert hermit scorpions. After looking around for a while, Xiaochen determined that there wouldn't be any desert hermit scorpions in the vicinity for a while. Then he found a place to sit down and continue cultivating. Of course, if he went in another direction, he would definitely encounter some desert hermit scorpions. However, Xiaochen already had more than 50 spiritual stones on his back. He didn't want to go too far. In any case, he would just look for more spiritual stones when he ran out. This time, Xiaochen placed 10 spiritual stones on one side of his backpack and the rest on the other side. Then he began to cultivate. Time passed unconsciously as Xiaochen cultivated. When there were only 3 spiritual stones left beside Xiaochen's hand, Xiaochen touched the barrier of the peak of the 10th layer of qi refining that he hadn't felt in a long time. Sure enough, it was useful. Xiaochen clenched his teeth and began to speed up his cultivation. The last 3 spiritual stones turned into powder in Xiaochen's hand. However, Xiaochen was just a step away from breaking through. He reached into his backpack and found that there were no more spiritual stones. Xiaochen was unwilling to give up, so he took a spiritual stone that was left on the side and held it in his hand as he continued to cultivate. 1 spiritual stone. 2 spiritual stones. 3 spiritual stones. Finally, on the 4th spiritual stone, Xiaochen broke through the barrier and finally stepped into the peak of the 10th qi refinement realm. Who? Xiaochen let out a long breath as he circulated his heart sutra to stabilize his realm. Then he stood up. Now that he had 6 spiritual stones left, it wasn't a loss. At that time, he could refund the 60 million deposit and the Supernatural Investigation Bureau could also obtain 60 million equivalent points. If he calculated everything, he would still have earned 20 million. Although these points didn't belong to Xiaochen, the 100 million from before wasn't paid by Xiaochen. What's more, Xiaochen could still continue to search. Sure enough, after Xiaochen walked for a while, he once again found a group of desert parasitic scorpions. Just like the last time, from afar, there was a flash of light. There might be a dozen or so of them. Xiaochen didn't stop and directly began to collect them. After a while, he had collected 5 or 6 spiritual stones. However, he also stopped because he saw a few people walking over from afar. Xiaochen's 6 senses were very sharp. He could feel that someone was coming from such a distance, but the people who came did not have this ability. They only saw Xiaochen when they were very close. At this moment, Xiaochen had already collected the spiritual stones. He was sitting on the ground with his legs crossed and studying the map, just like an ordinary trial tester. There were a total of 4 people, 2 men and 2 women. Xiaochen glanced at them from afar and put away the map. His action was very natural and did not arouse the suspicion of the 4 people. "Brother Sun, there is a trial tester in front," one of the men said to the other man. The man called Brother Sun nodded and said to the other man, "Little Xiao, go and ask him what his strength is and if he is willing to travel together." "Okay, Brother Sun." Little Xiao nodded and quickly walked towards Xiaochen. He cupped his fists and asked, "Young hero, may I ask what mission you are doing?" "I did accept a mission to find spiritual stones, but..." Xiaochen didn't finish his sentence. He deliberately paused to give people some room to imagine. Sure enough, when Little Xiao heard this, he was stunned and immediately said, "Is it the 100 million security deposit mission?" "That's right." Xiaochen smiled bitterly and nodded. It seems that young hero is not a cultivator from around here. You must have been scammed by someone, right? How can spiritual stones be so easy to find? You should also be able to see that in this desert, those flashing lights in the distance are spiritual stones. However, there are desert parasitic scorpions hidden underneath them. They are a very difficult desert creature to deal with. They are very aggressive and poisonous. The spiritual stones can be seen but not touched. Little Xiao smiled and said, "Young hero, you are a cautious person. You should have noticed that something was wrong and didn't make a move, right?" Xiaofan smiled and did not deny it. He said, "What mission are you guys doing?" "Our mission is to find a medicinal herb. Actually, this is just an excuse. Our real goal is to go to Dao Comprehension Sand Valley." Little Xiao did not hide anything and said directly, "Young hero, you should know about this, right? Dao Comprehension Sand Valley?" Xiaofan was slightly stunned. He had never heard of it before. Seeing Xiaofan's stunned expression, Little Xiao was also stunned. Did this guy really not know about it? He saw that Xiaofan's expression did not seem to be fake. After some thought, he suddenly said, "Young hero, if you were scammed by the spiritual stone search mission, then you must not be a cultivator from around here. It's normal that you don't know about it." Xiaofan nodded and said, "Indeed, I'm not from around here." At this moment, the one called Brother Sun and the two female cultivators also walked over. He did not know whether they were martial cultivators or devil cultivators. However, based on their temperament, Xiaofan could tell that they were martial masters. "Little Xiao, how is it? Does he also want to go to Dao Comprehension Sand Valley?" Brother Sun asked. "Brother Sun, it's like this." Little Xiao explained Xiaofan's situation to Brother Sun and said, he still doesn't know about Dao Comprehension Sand Valley. Moreover, it's obvious that he was scammed by the spiritual stone mission. Although the reward for that mission is generous, he still needs to get his hands on it. "Oh. In this direction, I thought it was a fellow cultivator." Brother Sun shook his head in disappointment. However, he suddenly thought of something and said, "I wonder if young hero has already found the spiritual stones?" Xiaofan's heart trembled and his expression slightly changed. He did not know why this person suddenly asked this question. Did they want to rob him of his spiritual stones? Although the four people in front of him might be martial artists, Xiaofan was not a pushover. He was now a cultivator at the peak of the 10th layer of the refinement stage. Even if he could not kill them, it would not be a problem for him to defeat a few of them and escape. Seeing the change in Xiaofan's expression, Brother Sun hurriedly explained, "Young hero, please don't misunderstand. We are not trying to rob you of your spiritual stones." Chapter 629. Yeah, you can ask around. Our son bro, Maoguang, is a famous figure in this generation. He often participates in trials. He asked this because he wanted to ask you if you're interested in going to the Dao Comprehension Sand Valley with us. Little Xiao was also by the side and hurriedly explained. "Oh. First, I want to know what kind of place this Sand Valley is, and what it does. Also, what does joining you have to do with going to the Sand Valley and Spirit Stones?" Xiaofan asked without batting an eyelid. The Sand Valley of Enlightenment is a place to understand the heavenly Tao. We practice martial arts, and in the martial world, both martial and demonic, we all want to achieve greater strength. I heard that there's a very profound martial technique there, and if you master it, you'll be able to fight opponents of a higher level, easily killing opponents of the same level. As Brother Sun spoke, an envious look appeared on his face. It was obvious that he really wanted this martial skill. "What does it have to do with spirit stones?" Xiaofan asked. He wasn't that excited about the martial technique. After all, he was a cultivator, and could already fight opponents of a higher level. If he had a powerful martial technique, however, he'd be able to unleash a greater effect. He wasn't disappointed even if he didn't have it. There's a formation to the Sand Valley of Enlightenment, and in order to activate it, you'll need to place 10 spirit stones in. Sun Bro said, if you have spirit stones, you can join us. So you're saying that if you bring me there, I'll have to fork out 50 spirit stones? Xiao Chen's expression was a bit strange. You think I have 50 spirit stones? Even if Xiao Chen did have it before, he didn't have it now. But did he look like he was rich? That's not it. You only need to take out 2 spirit stones. Knowing that Xiao Chen was an outsider, Sun Bro wasn't too surprised. He only explained, the formation can only allow 5 people to pass through at most once. If you go, you'll be able to share 2 spirit stones, but if you don't go, then the 4 of us will have to share it. So that's how it is. Spirit stones also have this kind of effect. Xiao Chen nodded his head and said, then what are the benefits if I join? When Brother Sun heard what Xiao Chen said, he knew that Xiao Chen definitely had 2 spirit stones. Otherwise, he would not have asked so much. He was immediately overjoyed and said, as for the benefits, it all depends on one's own luck. I heard that this Tao Comprehension Sand Valley is a place where ancient almighty beings practice their martial techniques. When we go there, we will also be comprehending the heavenly Tao there and comprehend this martial technique. This will depend on one's comprehension ability. If you can comprehend it, then it's yours. If you can't, then don't blame others. There's such a thing. After Xiao Chen heard this, he couldn't help but be very surprised. It was the first time he heard that one could learn martial skills from comprehension. However, in ancient times, he heard that there were many powerful people who could obtain the inheritance of martial skills just by practicing in a place. It was not impossible. But, are you sure this is true? Xiao Chen did not suspect that Brother Sun had other motives. What he suspected was whether this matter was true or not. If Brother Sun coveted the spirit stones on him, he would have already taken action. There was no need to speak so much nonsense to deceive him and lure him to this Tao Comprehension Sand Valley. Of course it's true. This is not a secret. In the past 1 or 2 years, the matter of this Tao Comprehension Sand Valley has already spread. Brother Sun smiled and said, when you entered the Hakanamata Desert, didn't the deacon of the warrior guild tell you to quickly return after completing the mission? Don't stay in the desert, it's easy to get lost. That's true. Xiao Chen thought in his heart. Could it be that there was some connection between the two? Indeed, Brother Sun chuckled, that was a lie. Actually, they were afraid that you would give up on the mission and not return after going to the Tao Comprehension Sand Valley. Not return? Then they don't have to return the 100 million to me. What loss do they have? Xiao Chen was stunned. That 100 million is the security deposit. If you don't go out, this money will be frozen and they can't use it. Brother Sun said, the main problem is that many cultivators come to the Hakanamata Desert to go to the Tao Comprehension Sand Valley. They don't really want to complete the mission. This causes these people in the desert to constantly look for other people to form a team with. Those cultivators who really want to complete the mission are also lured away. Then, who else would come to complete the mission? Of course, the warrior guild doesn't want this to happen. That's why they lied to you that it's easy to get lost in the desert. They told you to quickly finish the mission and return. That means to say, many people have already obtained the martial technique? Then after we go, what's left? Xiao Chen could not help but ask. After those people went, they never returned. I heard that they were trying to comprehend the martial technique in the Tao Comprehension Sand Valley. Since they couldn't comprehend it, I don't think anyone is willing to leave that place, right? Brother Sun said, that's an ancient martial technique. Just hearing about it makes one's blood boil. If I were to obtain it, then... Oh. Xiao Chen's heart sank. He was a cultivator. He had no interest in such a martial technique. It was hard for him to imagine that a martial technique could make people so crazy. He didn't believe that Brother Sun was a fool and couldn't tell that there was a problem. Those people who went to the Tao Comprehension Sand Valley actually didn't return. There must be a problem here. However, he probably didn't want to think about it. Even if he knew, he would only be deceiving himself. Because the temptation of an ancient martial technique was too strong. Actually, this was in accordance with the saying, "You are not a fish, how can you know the joy of a fish?" Xiaofan wasn't a cultivator. Moreover, he could fight opponents who were of a higher level than him. Therefore, he didn't have any passion for that ancient martial technique. So many people went, but none of them comprehended it. Don't you think that this is strange? Xiaofan asked in a deep voice. Strange? Heh, it's not really strange. You said that no one came out. I'm afraid that even if you and I comprehended it, would we say it out loud? Definitely not, right? He would only use it during a crucial battle. At that time, he wouldn't admit that he had comprehended the martial technique here. Instead, he would use other methods to cover it up. Otherwise, someone would definitely look for him. Brother Sun didn't think much of it. Or perhaps, those who knew about it are already dead. If it were me, I would also keep quiet and make a fortune. Who would tell others? That's right, young hero. Look at how foolish you are. You were tricked into doing this spirit stone search mission for 100 million. I don't think you have any ulterior motives. There's no harm in telling you that the matter of this martial skill is very reliable. According to many sources of research, this place is indeed the remains of an ancient martial arts practice. Little Xiao, who was at the side, interrupted. Xiaofan didn't want to go at first, but his heart was moved. Brother Sun and Little Xiao had said so much, but Xiaofan wasn't moved at all. There was only one key point that attracted him, and that was that no one who went to Tao Comprehension Sand Valley came out. Then, did his father and his team go to this place? It wasn't common for an entire team to disappear. Usually, these trial missions didn't take them to unfamiliar places, but places where many trial takers had practiced. Even if they encountered danger, it would only be 1 or 2 people. So, Xiaofan thought that his father might have gone there. Seeing Brother Sun and Little Xiao's passion, Xiaofan underestimated the attraction of ancient martial techniques to martial cultivators. Then, his father and the others might not be spared. Alright, since there's such a powerful technique, of course I'll go. Xiaofan slapped his thigh with anticipation and excitement. Then I won't hand in my spirit stones. Let's go to Tao Comprehension Sand Valley. You're straightforward, young hero. Let me introduce myself. I'm Sun Maoguang, the leader of this team. This is my Tao partner, Mei Xiaoyun. Brother Sun introduced, the other 2 are my friends, Xiao Xiaobai and his Tao partner, Hao Tong Tong. We're both first and second stage martial cultivators. What about you, young hero? I'm Xiao Chang, a first stage demon master. Xiaofan said, that ancient martial technique wouldn't be useless for us demon cultivators, would it? So you're a demon cultivator. Sun Maoguang nodded and smiled, of course not. That ancient martial technique relies on comprehension and mastery, merging it into your original technique and making it suit you. It's not an unchanging technique. It's that amazing? Xiaofan said, surprised. That's right. Otherwise, I'd say that someone must have already learned the technique and mastered it, but because it's based on the person's situation, even 2 people who learned it at the same time might not know each other when they fight, Maoguang explained. It's an ancient martial technique, after all, so it has to have its own uniqueness. That's great, I'll go. Xiaofan was very excited, but he actually wanted to know where his father was. If that's the case, let's go together. Maoguang was very happy to be able to save 2 spirit stones. Spirit stones weren't cheap, otherwise the warrior guild wouldn't be able to put up a bounty. Only the martial artists in the secular world did not know the value of spirit stones and spirit jades. However, the people in the martial arts world already knew that these things were a kind of energy stone used to activate formations. They were in high demand. Mao Guang had a map, so Xiao Chen followed him. They saw quite a few desert hermit scorpions along the way, but Xiao Chen didn't make a move. The samadhi fire was too strange, and he didn't want to show it in front of these people. This son Mao Guang had evidently done missions in Hakuna Mata often, and was very familiar with the paths in the desert. He could walk for a long time with just one look, as if he was on a familiar road. However, this also confirmed his words. He was a famous adventurer in this area. But if that was the case, Xiao Chen was a little doubtful. After some hesitation, he couldn't help but ask, "Brother son, forgive me for being blunt, but you're a famous participant in this area, so why didn't you go to that Sand Valley of Enlightenment earlier?" Chapter 630. Huh, that's what you're asking? Mao Guang laughed, "You're still suspecting me of lying to you? But I can tell you that I knew about this a long time ago, but I didn't have any spirit stones. The four of us are in the same team, and we usually advance and retreat together. It wasn't easy for us to gather 10 spirit stones, so we only managed to gather them a few days ago. That's why it took a few days to collect all of them. It also cost a lot. Now Wulin is also buying spirit stones. Spirit stones are priceless. The reason why we let you join us is that we want to save 2 spirit stones, which is also a lot of money." Xiao Chen came to a realization after hearing that. It was easy for him to obtain spirit stones, but the same could not be said for others. Those desert parasitic scorpions could not be touched at all. Once they were provoked, there would be endless trouble and they might even lose their lives. They could only rely on themselves to search for spirit stones buried in the desert, and that was a difficult task. It was already quite a feat for Mao Guang to gather 10 of them. "That's right, I got these spirit stones by chance, and they're indeed hard to find." Xiao Chen nodded. The 5 of them walked together, and Xiao Chen followed behind them. They didn't run into anything on the way, save for the occasional cultivator or two, but they were all in a hurry and had their own business to attend to. Mao Guang, on the other hand, had already found a partner in Xiao Chen, so naturally he wouldn't look for anyone else. After a day and night of traveling, the 5 of them arrived at a naturally formed valley. Xiao Chen couldn't help but sigh at the miraculousness of nature. There was actually a desert valley here, and the nearby desert didn't fall in and fill it up. This is Enlightenment Sand Valley. I heard that in the ancient times, someone with great godlike powers carved out a training ground with a long blade. Mao Guang's words were directed at Xiao Chen, because everyone else already knew about Dao Enlightenment Sand Valley. Only he didn't. "Oh? It's actually man-made?" Xiao Chen was a bit surprised. He'd thought that it was naturally formed. Just how powerful would it take to create something like this? It simply had the power to split the mountains and split the seas. Yeah, this technique is amazing. If we can learn a thing or two from it, we'll become the cream of the crop in the martial world. Mao Guang's eyes were bright, he was excited to be here. "Then how do we get in? This valley, it can't be that we're jumping down, right?" Xiao Chen looked at the endless valley of sand. He seemed to feel that there was something in the valley calling out to him. It was fascinating. "Just follow me." Mao Guang smiled as he took out a map and started walking along the edge of the valley. Finally, they saw something that looked like an altar not too far away. Mao Guang pointed. "Do you see that? That's it, that's the Sand Valley's teleportation array. If you don't know and recklessly jump into the Sand Valley, you will definitely die." This altar seemed to be very ancient. However, there was no sand on it. Its surface was very smooth. "I'm going to activate the formation now. Please follow my instructions and stand at the 5 corners of the formation, then take out your spirit stones and place them in the holes in front of the corners," Mao Guang said. Like the others, Xiao Chen chose a corner and stood on it. Then, he took out 2 spirit stones and placed them into a small round hole in front of his feet. 2 crisp, click sounds rang out. After doing all of this, Xiaochen could vaguely feel a ripple of energy coming from the altar. Mao Guang called out, "The formation is about to activate. Everyone, don't move. Stand still and don't leave the corners, or you won't be teleported in." Xiaochen took a deep breath. He had an ominous premonition in his heart. It was as though he wouldn't be able to come out once he entered. However, in order to find out whether his father was here or not, Xiaochen could only brace himself and enter. All of a sudden, a white light flashed across the formation, and Xiaochen and the others' vision went black. With another flash of light, they were in a different place. But, what surprised Xiaochen was the fact that he was in a long valley of sand. He couldn't see the sky. It was all gray above, and he couldn't see the sun, moon, or stars. All he could see was some faint light, and he didn't know what it was. As expected, this wasn't an area that could be reached just by jumping off the edge of Sand Valley. This was a new, unknown place. Xiaochen took a deep breath and turned around. Mao Guang and the others were looking around curiously as well, but they couldn't tell what was going on. "This is Sand Valley?" Xiaochen asked uncertainly, "How come there's no one here? Shouldn't there be a lot of people here?" As he said this, Xiaochen's heart sank. Had he been tricked by this Mao Guang? But looking at him now, he was confused as well. Could it be that he was thinking too much? It's my first time here as well. Mao Guang started to panic after hearing Xiaochen's question. This place. What's going on? Why isn't there anyone here? When Xiaochen heard this, he was a little speechless. It turned out that this guy didn't know either. Looking at him earlier, he thought he knew a lot. But there was indeed a strange area here, and Xiaochen wanted to explore it. He wasn't in a rush, and instead, he looked into the distance quietly. His senses were sharp, and he hoped to see something. However, it was a pity that even though Xiaochen was a cultivator, he could not see into the distance. The light here was dim, and everything in front of him was gray. Xiaochen's divine sense was also in vain, as if there was something blocking it. Mao Guang's uncertainty made Xiao Xiaobai and the others a little panicky. They'd thought that there would be a lot of people here studying techniques together, but there was no one else other than them. Wasn't this a little too strange? "Let's walk around," Mao Guang suggested after a pause. This place is so weird. Son bro, will there be trouble if we just walk around? Maybe we should just go out, I don't want to study anymore. His passion from before was gone, and Xiao Xiaobai was backing off. Go out? Mao Guang smiled bitterly. It's easy to get in, but I don't know how to get out. Then even if we learn the techniques, we can't get out? Xiao Xiaobai said worriedly. I thought there would be a lot of people here, and we'd know everything if we asked them, but... Mao Guang didn't know what to do. There's no point in not going. Who knows, we might find something if we walk around. Xiaochen had calmed down by now. The spiritual qi here was quite abundant, and it should be a good place. It wouldn't be as fast as cultivating with spirit stones, but it'd be much faster than outside. Places like this usually had treasures of some sort, just like the ancient ruins. Logically speaking, if they could get in, they should be able to get out. Even if he couldn't, there was still the Elder Heaven Ancestor. You're right, let's just walk around. Mao Guang agreed. Xiao Xiaobai had no choice but to follow along, choosing a direction and walking forward. Time passed quickly. Xiao Chen and the others had already been walking in this quiet, empty, and uninhabited sand valley for 3 hours. Apart from the yellow sand, there was nothing else around them. They were far away, and they couldn't see the end. This kind of repeated scene was the easiest to panic. Xiao Xiaobai's face was pale. Sun bro, Master Xiao. Are we going the right way? We have to keep going. What difference does it make? Xiaochen said faintly as he looked at him. In the boundless sand valley, there were no paths on either side. There were no other paths except to go forward or backward. What else could they do but go forward? Sigh. Xiao Xiaobai sighed. If there's no end, will we all die here one day? Xiaochen didn't reply, because he didn't know if that was a possibility. But at least there was some hope, and he had to keep going. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. After 10 days, even Xiaochen wasn't feeling confident anymore. Were they going the right way? Could this sand valley be a circular cycle? Were they just going around in circles? At the thought of this, Xiaochen wanted to use his hand to make a mark on both sides of the sand valley. However, to his disappointment, although the sand on both sides did not fall, no matter what Xiaochen made, it would be covered by the quicksand in the next moment and return to its original state. There were no marks left under their feet either. Their footprints would be covered up by the quicksand the moment they stepped on them. It was an unchanging pattern. Now, even if there was a giant circle, they wouldn't be able to feel it. Xiao Chen's heart sank, feeling like something wasn't right. This place was too strange, and no matter how big it was impossible to not even see a feather after walking for so long. According to Mao Guang, many cultivators had been here before, so where did they go? What did they leave behind? At that thought, Xiaochen took off a foot from his shirt and threw it on the ground, wanting to make a mark. But something even stranger happened. The corner of his shirt sank into the quicksand and disappeared, like a ginseng fruit falling to the ground. There was no sound, as if it had never been there. At this point, everyone was starting to panic. Xiaochen had tried to leave a mark, and they all understood how strange this situation was. Even Mao Guang was hesitating. I think, we might be going in circles in Dune Valley. We can't see too far in the fog, and we can't tell if we're going straight or not. Chapter 631. Xiao Xiaobai and Hao Tongtong were holding hands, panicking. Mao Guang's partner was also holding Mao Guang's hand, not knowing what to do. Someone's here. Xiao Chen was practically shouting this. Just as everyone was starting to lose hope, his sixth sense discovered a cultivator. He didn't know how strong this person was, but this was great news. Xiao Chen was so happy that even his tone changed a little. Mao Guang and the other three tried their best to look ahead, but they didn't see anything. Master Xiao, are you hallucinating? Mao Guang sighed, disappointed. As soon as he said this, Xiao Xiaobai jumped up excitedly. There's someone here. That's right, there's someone here. This is great. Oh. Mao Guang paused and turned his head, and as expected, there was a figure walking over from afar. This made him very happy, and before the cultivator even got close, he was already calling out excitedly, "Friend, are you here to learn martial arts? Is there anyone else here?" The person paused when he saw Xiao Chen's group, but nodded. That's right, what is it? I'd like to ask, how do I learn martial arts here? May I ask where you're going, friend? Why don't we go together? Mao Guang said quickly. Behind you. The man pointed behind him and said, There's no need, I'm leaving this place. With that, he didn't linger, walking past Xiao Chen as if in a hurry to go somewhere. Friend, can you stay for a moment? Can you tell us what's going on here? Is there anyone else? You're leaving. How? Mao Guang asked a bunch of questions. The person seemed to be getting impatient, and pointed behind him again. Everything you need to know is at the back. I don't have time for you right now, I'm going to test out my martial arts. After saying that, he quickly left without looking back. Xiao Chen looked at the man's back as he left. He was slightly puzzled. From the man's dirty and tattered clothes, he could tell that he had been here for a long time. It was impossible for him to have just arrived. His hair and beard were very long. It was obvious that he hadn't trimmed them for a long time. This meant that this person had been here for a period of time, and he was rushing to the other side, saying that he wanted to leave and verify something. Could it be that the other side was the exit? However, what this person said and what he wanted to know were all in the back, which was the direction they were heading in. Could it be that there were really answers there? Xiao Xiaobai hesitated. Let's go this way. Since he came this way, there must be something there. We can't give up. Mao Guang saw them, and suddenly regained his confidence. Everyone, keep it up. Xiao Chen nodded. He also wanted to see what was going on. Although that person looked impatient, he didn't seem to be lying. All right. Xiao Xiaobai saw that Xiao Chen had agreed, and so he brought his partner along with them. Mao Guang was in high spirits now, and he didn't feel bored at all. They walked for another 3 days, and finally, they could vaguely see a group of people in front of them. There are people, and more than one. This is great. That friend didn't lie to us. There are people here. Mao Guang cried out excitedly. Xiao Xiaobai's heart skipped a beat, and he let out a sigh of relief. He pulled his partner forward quickly, and Xiao Chen, on the other hand, was a little excited. Would his father be among these people? As the 5 of them approached, they could see that the end of the sand valley was not far away. At the end, there was a cliff blocking their way. It seemed that this wasn't some great circulation, but that this sand valley was just that long. On top of the cliff was a crack that descended from the heavens. They didn't know how tall the cliff was, but it pierced straight into the misty sky. The crack was also from top to bottom, so they couldn't see how high it was. There were many people sitting cross-legged in front of the cliff. Some had their eyes closed in contemplation, some had their brows furrowed, some were happy, and some were yelling. Who knew what they were doing? There were also some people on the 2 sides of the sand valley not far away. They were continuously executing martial techniques at the sand valley. There were all sorts of martial techniques. However, it was unknown what they were attacking. The sand valley's walls caved in from the attacks, but it was immediately filled up by the sand and returned to its original state. These people. What are they doing? Xiao Xiaobai asked, confused. Excuse me, what are you guys doing? Mao Guang cupped his fist. But no one paid attention to him. Everyone was busy with their own things, and no one even looked at them. Xiao Chen looked at them and frowned. They're probably learning techniques, but they're too focused, or maybe they don't want to talk to us at all. Oh? Mao Guang's eyes lit up, and he nodded in agreement. Indeed, judging from their expressions, they're probably practicing martial arts. Those people who are using techniques must have learned something, and they're testing it out on the side. At that moment, one of the people sitting cross-legged on the ground suddenly laughed and stood up, going to the side to practice. Mao Guang quickly walked up and cupped his fist. Brother, may I ask if you've learned the technique? Indeed, I was just about to test it out. The person paused, not expecting someone to talk to him, but he nodded anyway. Then can you tell me what's going on here? How do I learn it? Mao Guang asked. I don't have time, I'm going to test it out. Get out of the way. The person said impatiently, as if he was going to use the technique the next moment. Brother, you should at least drink some water or eat something. I have some rations in my backpack, do you want some? Mao Guang said. Eat my ass. Get out of the way, or I won't go easy on you. The person's aura changed, revealing that he was a 4th-stage martial practitioner. This gave Mao Guang a fright, and he quickly got out of the way. Seeing that Mao Guang knew his place, the person nodded and said, sit there and meditate. Try to communicate with the martial intent of Dune Valley. Then, He started to use his martial skills on the walls of the sand valley. Ping ping pang pang. But Mao Guang's next sentence made Xiaochen think of something. We haven't eaten anything in the past few days. Mao Guang paused. Indeed, they hadn't eaten anything since entering Dune Valley. They'd even eaten some rations when they were outside, and now that they'd been here for more than 10 days, they hadn't had a single drop of water. But they didn't feel anything wrong. Everyone was nervous here, and since it wasn't night, they were counting time on their watches, so they didn't think about eating. They didn't even feel sleepy. This Dune Valley is weird. We don't feel tired or sleepy, and we don't feel hungry. I think the energy here is keeping us alive. Xiaochen said. He was a cultivator, and it was fine even if he didn't eat for a few days. Mao Guang, on the other hand, was a martial practitioner, and he was fine as well. Plus, the martial practitioner had said that there was no need to eat here. This really is a great place. Mao Guang sighed. Let's give it a try. With that, Mao Guang sat down cross-legged impatiently and closed his eyes, starting to comprehend the Tao. The others did the same, imitating him. Xiaochen wasn't in a rush. He was here to find his father, Xiaofan, so he started looking for him among the cultivators. There were a lot of cultivators here. As far as the eye could see, there were at least a few hundred of them. Xiaochen had to spend a lot of effort to find them one by one. However, everyone was busy comprehending the Tao and practicing their martial skills. No one paid any attention to Xiaochen. Who cared if he was walking back and forth? Finally, Xiaochen looked through all of them, but didn't see his father anywhere. This made him a little disappointed. It seemed like his father wasn't here, but he might have already left. After all, hadn't the cultivator he'd met earlier said that he was going out? It seemed like the other side of Dune Valley was where they left. With that thought, Xiaochen wasn't in a hurry. Since he was already here, he might as well take things as they came. Since there were so many martial and demonic cultivators here, all of them meditating, it meant that this place wasn't just a rumor. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many people here. Thinking up to this point, Xiaochen found a corner, sat down cross-legged, and began to meditate. In truth, he did not know how he was supposed to comprehend it. He could only imitate the way others did. After closing his eyes, his mind became clear. At first, Xiaochen couldn't feel anything at all, he just felt a little drowsy, but he couldn't fall asleep. He didn't know what kind of energy existed here, but as long as he was in Dune Valley, he wouldn't feel tired. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, suddenly, a faintly discernible feeling seemed to circulate around Xiaochen's mind. He quickly caught hold of this feeling. It seemed to be an aura from ancient times. Although he closed his eyes, in his mind, he could see the crack on the cliff, and that aura seemed to come from the crack. Xiaochen had already guessed that this aura should be the martial intent that the cultivator had mentioned before. He actually succeeded. Xiaochen was pleasantly surprised, because he saw that many people nearby didn't feel anything. After a period of time, they would open their eyes, scratch their ears and cheeks, or get up and change places to continue. These people obviously didn't comprehend anything, otherwise they wouldn't be like this. Chapter 632. What kind of cultivator would stand up midway and change places? Xiaochen didn't think that he would be so lucky. Perhaps it was because he was a true cultivator that he had only used a few days of effort to feel the martial intent. Feeling this hazy martial intent, Xiaochen unconsciously began to imagine a scene in his mind. There was a person holding a long saber in his hand, constantly practicing something in the sand valley. And as this person appeared, the martial intent became increasingly clear, making Xiaochen feel as if he was immersed in it. Subconsciously, Xiaochen seemed to have entered the picture formed by the aura of the martial intent. He looked at the person and slowly approached him. Before he had even taken a few steps, he felt a fierce murderous aura. So strong. Xiaofan was still far away from the person, but he was already startled. What a powerful martial skill this was. It was as if this fierce murderous aura would immediately bounce him away. The saber swept out, and the murderous aura was like the saber had turned into a substance, sweeping across Xiaofan's body. Xiaofan felt as if his entire body was being torn apart, and the clothes on his body were also riddled with holes. He subconsciously took 2 steps back, and the second saber followed. He felt several more scars appear all over his body. Was this a world of thoughts, or did it really exist? Xiaofan took a deep breath and retreated again, not daring to take even half a step closer. Because Xiaofan was far away, the murderous aura had dissipated. He stared intently at the figure not too far away. In the sand valley, the figure was wielding the long saber back and forth. The saber shadows crisscrossed, and the sides of the nearby sand valley became uneven. Although it quickly recovered, the damage caused by the martial skill was far greater than Xiaofan's. His saber could completely sink the side of the sand valley. Although it was only for a short period of time, and then it would quickly recover. But this was a characteristic of the sand valley. But from the depth of the depression, one could see that the strength of this saber was by no means ordinary. While Xiaofan was secretly amazed, the figure's movements suddenly changed. From the original ordinary practice, it seemed like he was about to start activating a big move. The figure suddenly leaped up, and then swiftly slashed out with his saber. In an instant, it brought about thousands upon thousands of saber shadows that flickered with silver light. It was a dazzling sight, and the killing intent produced by this saber instantly caused Xiaofan to feel as if he couldn't breathe. He subconsciously took another 2 steps back. Amazing! Xiaofan was shocked. He was so far away, but he was still affected by the killing intent of this move. How fierce was this? To be able to cause damage to the enemy from such a distance, just how powerful was this move? One move after another. Once this move was activated, the next move would be ready. The figure began to incessantly activate his big move. A terrifying murderous aura surged over like a tidal wave. Xiaofan's scalp went numb. He only felt that if he were to face this mighty figure, he would be captured without putting up a fight. He wouldn't even have the chance to attack before he would be cleaved into 2 by this person's saber. Xiaofan felt that the murderous aura produced by this saber shadow could practically tear the entire Dao Comprehension Sand Valley to pieces. Perhaps this Dao Comprehension Sand Valley had been carved out by this figure's saber? Only such a capable person could possess such immense strength. However, gradually, Xiaofan's mind was no longer filled with murderous aura. Instead, he began to form a connection with the figure. Slowly, he could see the saber shadow's traces clearly. He subconsciously began to follow the figure in activating the dark flame palm, imitating the figure. When the figure slashed out with his saber, Xiaofan would strike out with his palm. At the beginning, the power of Xiaofan's martial technique was only ordinary. It could only leave a small hole on the side walls of the sand valley. However, gradually, the hole became bigger and bigger. Xiaofan couldn't help but be overjoyed. This meant that his martial technique was improving. Could it be that he had really comprehended something from this? However, he had a vague feeling that there was something strange about this. This was because the dark flame palm was still the same dark flame palm. The circulation method had not changed, and the method of activation had not changed either. Could such a huge change be achieved just by following the figure's execution? At this moment, the figure suddenly leaped up. It looked like he was about to activate an even more powerful big move. Xiaofan was shocked. He hurriedly watched carefully without blinking. He saw the figure rise into the air and quickly turn around in the air. Suddenly, he attacked. It was a saber slash at Xiaofan. Although the 2 of them were quite a distance apart, Xiaofan felt intense pain all over his body at this moment. The overwhelming shadow of the blade swept towards him and a tearing pain surged through his entire body. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying, landing heavily on the ground not far away. Xiaofan took a deep breath. His face was a little pale, but he didn't retreat. Instead, he slowly stood up and raised his right hand. He imitated the figure just now and activated the dark flame palm. Boom! A mountain-splitting and sea-splitting aura surged out from Xiaofan's palm. Like a long saber cutting through the air, it smashed into the sand valley's side wall. This palm seemed to directly break the sand valley's side wall. The murderous intent was awe-inspiring. Was this the power of this martial technique? Xiaofan was completely shocked. He did not expect himself to be able to activate such a powerful palm strike. If he were to use it outside, it would not be a problem for him to surpass his cultivation level. It could even be said that martial masters in the 3rd or 4th layer would be killed instantly by him. It would be child's play. This was simply raising the combat power of a martial technique to the limit. At this moment, Xiaofan suddenly recovered from his previous enlightenment. He opened his eyes and saw that he was still sitting cross-legged in the sand valley. His clothes weren't torn and he wasn't injured. Everything that had happened just now was all an illusion. It was a form of communication through consciousness. It wasn't real. Xiaofan stood up and came to an empty side wall of the sand valley. He circulated the mantra, raised his palm, and slapped the side wall of the sand valley. Boom! An unparalleled aura surged out. The side wall of the sand valley was directly blasted by Xiaofan. Although it quickly returned to normal, its power was countless times stronger. Could it be that all of this was real? Had he already comprehended this martial technique and fused it for his own use? Xiaofan was a little shocked. He tried to activate his palm again, but it was still the same. The power was so great that it surprised Xiaofan. He took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. Then, he turned to look at the others. Some people were comprehending, while others were practicing. However, those who were practicing did not fully comprehend it. Some people only comprehended a part of it before returning to reality and starting to experiment. These people would continue to comprehend after experimenting. However, not far from Xiaofan, a person was also activating a powerful martial technique. This person's strength seemed to be only at the 1st level of a martial master, but the martial technique he was activating shocked Xiaofan. Although it wasn't as powerful as Xiaofan's dark flame palm, it wasn't bad either. He was actually activating a martial technique that was similar to the 5th or 6th level of a martial master. If this happened outside, it would simply be shocking. Ha ha ha, it's done. I've finally comprehended the heavenly Tao and fused the martial technique. Ha ha ha, if I go out, I'll be invincible under the same level. That person laughed excitedly. Even if I have to fight an opponent of a higher level, it won't be a problem. May I ask if you've succeeded in comprehending the heavenly Tao and want to go out? Xiaofan asked. Xiaofan had also succeeded in comprehending the heavenly Tao and fused the martial technique. Therefore, there was no point in staying here any longer. His main purpose here was to find his father. Since his father wasn't here, it was better to leave as soon as possible. It just so happened that he didn't know how to get out. This person seemed to know and was about to leave. Xiaofan planned to go with him. What? You actually noticed me? That person was shocked after hearing Xiaofan's words. He activated the martial technique and then laughed wildly towards the sky. It was all subconscious, but he didn't want others to know that he had succeeded in comprehending the heavenly Tao. Because if someone knew and spread the news, how would he deal with them? Although he could fight an opponent of a higher level, if a 10th level martial master suddenly appeared, then no matter how powerful he was, it would be useless. Xiaofan was a little stunned. Yes, I want to go out. Do you know how to go out? How about we go together? Humph. That person coldly snorted and suddenly attacked without warning. It was obvious that he wanted to silence Xiaofan. Xiaofan didn't expect that this person would actually raise his hand and attack. He was caught off guard. He was stunned and hurriedly responded. A dark flame palm struck out and collided with that person's palm. Boom, with a loud sound, that person was directly sent flying. Although he wasn't directly beaten to death, he was covered in dust and vomited blood. You also succeeded in comprehending the heavenly Tao? That person originally thought that Xiaofan didn't succeed in comprehending the heavenly Tao, so he wanted to silence Xiaofan. However, since Xiaofan had succeeded in comprehending the heavenly Tao, why would he still kill him? The two of them had a common secret. Even if they went out together, they would still keep it a secret. Xiaofan looked at that person's expression and listened to his words. He roughly guessed why this person wanted to attack. He was a little speechless. The person who had succeeded in comprehending the heavenly Tao in the Sand Valley had just been unwilling to pay attention to them. However, he didn't raise his hand to kill them. Of course, it was also possible that he didn't attack because there were many of them. This person saw that Xiaofan was alone, so he attacked. That's right. Xiaofan nodded. Alright, in that case, let's go together, that person said. Xiaofan checked his body. That person didn't cause him any harm. Although the power of that person's martial arts technique was equivalent to the 5th or 6th stage of a martial master. No. Xiaofan was suddenly shocked. His joy at the improvement of his martial arts technique instantly vanished. The martial arts technique that person displayed just now was indeed at the 5th or 6th stage of a martial master. However, when it hit Xiaofan's body, Xiaofan felt that it was only at the 1st stage of a martial master. It was not at the 5th or 6th stage at all. Chapter 633. In other words, the damage this person's technique dealt to him was equal to the person's own strength. What was going on? At the thought, Xiaofan glanced at the person. That move he'd used in a hurry and hadn't used his full strength, but even so, Xiaofan's technique could instantly kill a 4th or 5th level martial master, so why couldn't he kill a 1st level martial master? At this moment, he suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. There was something strange about this Sand Valley. I'm not leaving, you go first. Xiaofan waved his hand, I'm going to continue my enlightenment. Oh, do whatever you want. The person frowned, but didn't say anything else. He turned around and left. Xiaofan waited for that person to leave before launching another attack at the side wall of the Dune Valley. Boom! Not bad, it was equivalent to a 5th or 7th level martial master, but who would believe that a technique like this couldn't even kill a 1st level martial master? Could it be that the technique's corresponding defense had increased as well? That was impossible, because if one's own strength hadn't increased, how could one's defense have increased? Xiaofan was a bit doubtful. This wasn't normal at all. Whether it was the power of the technique or the dent on the side walls, it seemed like the technique had increased, but when it actually hit a person, there was no such increase in power. All of a sudden, Xiaofan realized something. That's right, were those people who had comprehended the martial skill really able to hide themselves after leaving the Tao Comprehension Sand Valley? Even if those martial masters hid themselves, had there been no general-level masters who'd come here before? What else did these general-level experts need to hide? Why hadn't there been any news at all? Maoguang had mentioned this before, and Xiaofan had thought that it made sense, but now that he thought about it, it didn't make sense at all. There were no airtight walls in this world, and from the looks of it, there were people who'd left in a few days, so how could they not have displayed their techniques in front of others? Then what did he improve? Was it just for show? But if that was the case, then what was the point of this Sand Valley of Enlightenment? Nothing improved? Did he come here for nothing? That's right, there's something wrong with this valley, Elder Heaven Ancestor's voice rang out beside Xiaofan's ear. Elder Heaven Ancestor, you think there's something wrong too? Xiaochen was even more certain of his suspicions after hearing Elder Heaven Ancestor's words. I've felt something was wrong before. This valley can actually provide you with energy, so you don't need to eat to maintain your bodily functions. Then, I think there's something wrong with this enlightenment as well. Old Sky said, I have been paying attention to you. On the surface, the power of the martial skill you activated has increased by a lot. However, from my point of view, I can tell that the power has not increased at all. It is still the same martial skill from before. It is just that the appearance has become stronger. I think so too. Since that's the case, what's the use of it? Xiaochen asked curiously. I suspect that someone is controlling this entire valley from behind the scenes, Elder Heaven Ancestor said. His words gave Xiaochen a fright. He wanted to jump up and cry out in alarm, but Elder Heaven Ancestor hurriedly reminded him, don't act blindly without thinking. I suspect that your every move is being monitored. Don't do anything. If our guess is right, dealing with you in someone else's territory will be a piece of cake. All right. Xiaochen said calmly. He had communicated with Elder Heaven Ancestor through his spiritual sea, so the outside world couldn't sense it. Then what should I do now? Leave this place? Leave? Do you really think there's such a good thing? That you can leave at will? Elder Heaven Ancestor poured cold water on Xiaochen, which made him calm down. That's right. If there really is someone manipulating all of this behind the scenes in Sand Valley, it would be unbelievable for him to make so many disguises and deceive so many people just to trick them into leaving, unless this person is a psychopath with a bad taste. Xiaochen also figured this out. If that was the case, then those who said they would leave should not have left. They should have been tricked by the person behind to do something. Yes, so you are now in a dilemma. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, in this place, the entire Sand Valley could be controlled. Even I can't do anything about it. If Elder Heaven Ancestor couldn't do anything, then Xiaochen didn't know what to do. He regretted coming here, but it was useless. The most important thing now was to find a way out. Elder Heaven Ancestor, then it's meaningless for me to stay here. Why don't we go over there and see what this person wants to do? Xiaochen asked. No, you continue to comprehend. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, but this time, you use martial arts. Don't use the dark flame palm. You use the Samadhi True Fire Fireball technique. Oh? Why is that? Xiaochen asked, feeling somewhat confused. Isn't it the same no matter what you activate? It's not the same. Elder Heaven Ancestor smiled and said, martial arts can create an illusion to deceive you, but the Samadhi True Fire can't. If the Samadhi True Fire improves, then it improves. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. This is a cultivator's skill. You should be able to feel whether the temperature of the true fire has changed or not. This is to judge from the inside, not from the outside. Yes. Xiaochen immediately understood what Elder Heaven Ancestor meant. Since there was someone behind it, then if Xiaochen used the Samadhi True Fire and couldn't improve his martial arts, then wouldn't it be a failure? If he didn't want to fail, then the person would inevitably take some action. Either this person would show up, or they would certainly take some remedial measures. It was impossible to just let it go. Thinking of this, Xiaochen sat down cross-legged once again. He closed his eyes and began to communicate with the aura of the martial intent. Very quickly, Xiaochen connected with the martial intent and once again entered the consciousness space. It was the same shadow that was brandishing the saber, exactly the same as before. That dark flame palm just now isn't my main martial arts, so it's useless to improve it. Xiaochen said to himself. Now, I need to improve my main martial arts. The shadow didn't seem to hear Xiaochen's words and continued to practice the martial arts. Xiaochen also followed him and began to urge the Samadhi True Fire, one after another. Sure enough, just like what Elder Heaven Ancestor said, the Samadhi true fire was fire. Even if it hit the side of the sand valley, it wouldn't make any dent. Fire was invisible, so how could it have any effect on the side of the sand valley? Oh. That's not right, why didn't it improve? Xiaoqun said to himself with some doubt. It can't be, right? It clearly had an effect just now. The shadow seemed to have paused for a moment. However, it was only an imperceptible moment. Xiaoqun wasn't sure whether the shadow had paused or not, but he still continued to urge the shadow. There's still no effect. This sand valley isn't deceiving people, right? Xiaoqun said tentatively. I have to ask others if there is such a situation. As soon as Xiaoqun said this, the shadow's figure paused again. This time, it was very obvious that Xiaoqun had noticed it. Sure enough. Xiaoqun was shocked. This shadow had a consciousness. Whatever he said and did, he knew it. It wasn't a martial intent. However, Xiaoqun naturally pretended not to know. He continued to urge the martial arts and said, could it be that my practice was wrong? Xiaoqun seemed to feel a surge of resentment coming from the shadow's body. He was angry. Xiaoqun was pleasantly surprised. This person had feelings and was angered by him. However, following that, Xiaoqun felt as if something had appeared in his mind. An ancient aura shrouded his entire body. Xiaoqun was shocked. Was this person trying to harm him? However, after being shrouded by this aura, he didn't feel any discomfort in his body. Instead, he felt a powerful heaven and earth aura pouring into his meridians. What was the meaning of this? Xiaoqun was shocked. Where did this heaven and earth aura come from? Moreover, wasn't this heaven and earth aura a little too rich? It was so rich that Xiaoqun was a little shocked. This heaven and earth aura was richer than any heaven and earth aura he had ever seen. It had even surpassed the heaven and earth spirit jades. Xiaoqun, this person is anxious. He wants to use the bone washing method to improve your martial arts. The elder heaven ancestor's teasing voice sounded in Xiaoqun's ear. Now I can be sure of one thing. Although this person is the person behind the sand valley, he can't act recklessly in the sand valley. He can only establish contact with the people of the sand valley through telepathy. However, if he wants to harm the people of the sand valley, that should be impossible. Oh? Through bone and marrow cleansing? Xiaoqun was stunned. That's right. Warriors actually don't need the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. What they cultivate is strength. Even devil cultivators obtain their strength through some heavenly materials and earthly treasures and pills. The spiritual qi of heaven and earth is only effective for cultivators like you. Warriors actually don't know how to use it. The elder heaven ancestor said, however, rich heaven and earth aura can wash a martial artist's marrow and bones. It's just like how your medicinal dregs can also wash a martial artist's marrow and bones. Oh? In that case, this person is afraid that I will tell others, so he plans to use this method to improve my physical fitness in order to achieve the goal of improving my martial arts strength? Xiaoqun understood. That should be the case. In this way, if you are a martial artist, then your physical strength won't be improved. Only your aptitude will change, so the power of your martial arts will naturally increase. The elder heaven ancestor said with a smile, it seems like this person is anxious. This martial arts technique of yours might seem strange. From the outside, it can't transform into an increase in power. After all, how can that fireball improve? Therefore, you can only increase the power of your martial arts through genuine internal improvement. Chapter 634. Then what should I do now? Xiaoqun asked. Are you stupid or stubborn? What else can you do? There's so much spiritual energy here, it's a waste not to use it. Quickly absorb it and cultivate. The elder heaven ancestor said, "This is a great place. You won't be able to find it even if you wanted to. In the cultivation world, this kind of place is rare." Oh. Xiaochen nodded quickly and began to use the mantra. He began to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth like crazy. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth flowed through Xiaochen's meridians. It was so refreshing. If my guess is correct, the spirit stones that you used to enter the gate have all been taken away by this fellow. Previously, the energy that kept you from starving in the Sand Valley came from the spirit stones. The spiritual energy of the world was also extracted by the person behind the scenes of the Sand Valley and placed here. Elder Tian said. Wahahaha, how many spiritual stones did that cost? I've struck it rich this time. Xiaochen was overjoyed and quickly cultivated. Soon, Xiaochen had entered a state of selflessness. He was crazily absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in front of him. As he absorbed, he subconsciously muttered, "Rest, rest for a while. I'll continue practicing martial skills later. I don't believe that I won't improve." The figure seemed to be very satisfied with Xiaochen's current cooperation. Using spiritual energy to cleanse Xiaochen's marrow and bones was not something that could be done overnight. If Xiaochen continued to use martial skills at different times, it would inevitably affect the effect. Now that Xiaochen was sitting cross-legged on the ground and resting, it was the perfect time to cleanse his marrow and bones. However, what the figure didn't know was that the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was rushing into Xiaochen's meridians at a terrifying speed. It circulated rapidly in Xiaochen's meridians and finally gathered in his dantian. However, very soon, the figure felt that something was wrong. Why was the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in front of Xiaochen becoming less and less? What kind of trash physique was this person? How could he waste so much spiritual energy to cleanse his marrow and bones? He had no choice but to continue replenishing Xiaochen's heaven and earth spiritual qi. Since he was replenishing himself, Xiaochen pretended not to notice. He absorbed the spiritual qi of heaven and earth at an incomparably rapid speed, not resting for even a moment. This spirit qi was quickly converted into Xiaochen's essence qi, accumulating bit by bit in his dantian. From the peak of level 10 of the qi refinement realm, Xiaochen rushed all the way to the peak of the qi refinement realm. Then, with the continuous impact of the spiritual qi of heaven and earth, Xiaochen only felt a shock in his body. Inside his dantian, something seemed to have broken through. The originally small dantian actually became bigger. If his dantian was like a lake before, then it was now like a vast river, incomparably vast. Xiaochen was shocked. Is this the foundation building stage? Because he could feel that this was a completely new realm, making him feel like a dragon rising to the heavens. He had suddenly broken free of the shackles, and his strength seemed to have soared by more than one level. Just as Xiaochen wanted to continue absorbing the spiritual qi of heaven and earth to consolidate his foundation building stage, the spiritual qi of heaven and earth in front of him began to dissipate. The figure also felt the change in Xiaochen's physique, so he quickly withdrew the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. This is 2F** King fraudulent. The figure was about to cry. In just a short while, Xiaochen had consumed a few hundred spiritual stones. Energy should not be consumed in this way. He could only collect 2 spiritual stones for each person who came in. The stock that he had accumulated for a long time was wasted by this kid. This F** King physique actually used so many spiritual stones to cleanse the marrow and bones. 2 garbage, really 2 garbage. The figure cursed in his heart, but did not dare to show it. He continued to practice his martial arts skills. Xiaochen also knew that enough was enough. Although he felt a little regretful, he still stood up and said, "Hey, why do I feel so relaxed and comfortable? Could it be that I'm a genius and suddenly gained enlightenment again? That must be it." Wahahaha, I'm too much of a genius. When the figure heard this, he wanted to vomit blood. King hell, if you were a genius, then there would be no good-for-nothings. A good-for-nothing, a big piece of trash. He had vaguely scanned Xiao Chen's body just now. This kind of good-for-nothing body could actually cultivate to become a martial master. It was really a miracle. Who knew how many treasures of heaven and earth he had consumed to achieve his current strength? Logically speaking, this kind of garbage physique should not be able to cultivate at all. Even the first level of a martial warrior would be very difficult. However, his thinking was not wrong. From the perspective of a martial cultivator or a demonic cultivator, Xiao Chen was indeed a good-for-nothing. If he did not cultivate, he would really be a good-for-nothing. Xiao Chen activated a fireball technique and was immediately overjoyed. The difference between the Qi refinement stage and the Qi refinement stage was like night and day. Now, Xiao Chen felt that his fireball technique was enough to burn a third or fourth layer martial master to death. Hey, but why is this martial arts skills improvement so limited? It doesn't feel like it's improving as fast as the dark flame palm. But this is my main martial arts skill. What's going on? Xiao Chen said with some puzzlement, I have to go out and ask the others to see if they are also like this. If some of their martial arts can't be improved so much, I have to exchange pointers with them. After Xiao Chen said this, although the figure was still brandishing his saber, it was obvious that a powerful rage was being emitted from the figure's body. However, it was very well concealed. Xiao Chen secretly laughed. It seemed that this figure was very afraid of him communicating with others. However, this made Xiao Chen very puzzled. After so long, with so many people here, did the others not communicate? In fact, it was understandable. Everyone was very guarded when it came to martial arts cultivation. They would keep their own secrets and no one would share their experience with others. This could be seen from the person who wanted to kill Xiao Chen to silence him. If someone succeeded in comprehending the Tao, they would not easily tell others. This also gave the figure behind the Sand Valley an opportunity. However, he did not expect that there would be such an exception like Xiao Chen. However, in the next moment, the overwhelming spiritual energy swept over again. The figure also clearly discovered that Xiao Chen's body was too trashy and useless. How did this person become a martial master? It was too strange. Just now, so much spiritual energy was thrown over, but it seemed to have little effect. If it was any other martial artist, they would have already been transformed into a peerless genius. When Xiao Chen felt the spiritual energy coming again, he was immediately overjoyed. He quickly sat cross-legged and said, It seems that the comfortable feeling from just now is coming again. I can sit cross-legged on the ground and continue to comprehend the Tao. I am really a genius to be able to find such a convenient method. I don't even need to practice martial arts. The figure was so angry that he cursed in his heart. Motherf ***, you are a piece of trash that only appears once in 1,000 years. Xiao Chen hurriedly cultivated like crazy. This was a very rich spiritual energy. If he missed this opportunity, there would be no such opportunity. Therefore, Xiao Chen took advantage of the fact that this figure was easy to deceive and began to cultivate like crazy. Xiao Chen, be careful. Don't go too far. Don't expose yourself. The elder heaven ancestor reminded him. I understand. However, this is a good opportunity. If I don't take advantage of it, I really don't know how long I will have to wait. Right now, I don't have any spiritual jades. Cultivation is getting harder and harder. If I don't have any opportunities, I won't be able to advance. Therefore, even if it's risky, I have to give it my all. Xiao Chen said. How could he not know that he was asking a tiger for its skin? However, there was no other way. The temptation of this spiritual energy was too great. The elder heaven ancestor did not say anything else. Anyway, it seemed that there was no danger at the moment. The foundation building realm was completely different from the qi refining realm. Xiaochen felt that his dantian was very big. No matter how much he absorbed the spiritual energy, it was still not enough. His strength was also increasing very slowly. Even though Xiaochen had already prepared himself mentally, he still felt helpless about this situation. It was really too slow. If it was like this in such a dense spiritual energy, how difficult would it be to reach the peak of the first level of foundation building? Under Xiaochen's frenzied absorption, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in front of him became thinner and thinner. The figure seemed to have noticed this as well. Left with no other choice, he replenished Xiaochen's spiritual energy. Xiaochen did not care about him. He continued to absorb spiritual energy like crazy. The spiritual energy flowed into his body. Seeing that it was about to be used up, Xiaochen wondered if the figure would replenish more spiritual energy for him. However, Xiaochen was disappointed. His method of wasting spiritual energy was so wasteful that even the figure could not take it. The figure seemed to let out a low growl. He felt a little heartache and unwillingness, so he did not continue to replenish spiritual energy for Xiaochen. The figure was about to go crazy from anger. This person's aptitude was so bad, why did he enter the Tao Comprehension Sand Valley? He should just be an ordinary person. Which sect was this disciple from? Which sect would accept this kind of trash? He checked and found that Xiaochen's constitution had indeed improved a little, but not much. What he didn't know was that Xiaochen had already used large amounts of medicine to temper his body. The change in his constitution now was only a negligible effect brought about by the increase in strength. Xiaochen knew that it was about time, so he stood up and activated a fireball technique. He then said in surprise, "Ah, that's great. My technique has finally improved. Then I have to get out of here. There's no point in staying here." The figure heaved a sigh of relief, but he cursed in his heart. "Damn it, what did you come here for? Did you have nothing better to do?" Xiaochen returned to reality and stood up. He saw that not far away, Sun Maoguang and Xiao Xiaobai were still comprehending, but Xiaochen couldn't care less about them. He had to leave now. If he caused more trouble, the mastermind of the Sand Valley would explode. Xiaochen didn't hesitate and turned to leave, quickly heading to the other side of the Sand Valley. This time, he was alone and did not travel with anyone else. Hence, Xiaochen was able to travel faster. When the figure saw Xiaochen's speed, he heaved a sigh of relief. So he was a speed-type fighter. However, seeing that his skills were quite solid, he reckoned that he would be of great help to him. In that case, the spiritual qi he had used earlier was not wasted. In any case, wool comes from sheep. With that thought, the figure felt a little better and continued to scam others. He didn't care about Xiaochen anymore. Now that he was there, he would naturally have to work for him. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.